Relations with the kingdom are now getting a rethink, just weeks after the president trekked to Riyadh and very controversially fist-bumped Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Analyst Jim Lindsay with the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations says many members of the president's own party on Capitol Hill say it's time to stop supplying Saudi Arabia with weapons.
The Biden administration has not signed up to those calls. And it's hard to see how this would go forward without the administration's consent or approval. But obviously, the administration, precisely because it has indicated that it feels like it has been double-crossed by MBS, is now in a position where people are saying, okay, what are you going to do in response? And that's a real political and policy challenge because it's not clear what the response could be that wouldn't also hurt other U.S. interests.
Lawmakers do have the right to review additional arms sales before they go through. The main news again, the UK has a new government after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak moved into Downing Street and immediately made his cabinet choices. The pound rose to its strongest level since Liz Truss became Prime Minister. President Biden is again warning Russia against using tactical nuclear weapons or a dirty bomb in Ukraine. And Kanye West has lost another corporate client, this time it's clothing retailer Gap. And that is the latest feature story news. Simon Marks reports.
Republicans back a plan for universal lawn care, and an RC car works up the courage to approach a group of girls. And now a recap of the week's news for those who like to waste their summers surfing the internet. Fall, the long-running series of shorter days and cooler nights, was canceled this week after nearly 3 billion seasons on Earth. The classic period of the year, which once occupied the coveted slot between summer and winter, will be replaced by new stifling humidity levels and near-constant sunshine. A shiny, bobbing object in the water is generating fascination among members of the fish community, who have described it as pleasingly wiggly and minnow-esque. Aquatic experts say that decisive action must be taken against the object very soon. In local news, just when 27-year-old Andrew Sheets didn't think his vacation could get any better, a rerun of Spin City came on. And in other headlines, a bee stuck between the screen and front door is going nuts. And a water skier lets go of the crossbar to greet those not currently water skiing.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. Welcome to Free Talk Live. The phones are open. And you can join us. Bring up anything you want. The number is 603-283-6160. Coming up, we haven't talked about the metaverse in a little bit, so Aria's got a story about, well, I guess disappointment. Seems like there's disappointment all around with the metaverse.
I haven't heard anything about the metaverse.
I think Conan's got the story now, but yeah.
Okay. I thought you...
I originally had it, but he ended up pulling it up, and he's got a laptop, so that makes it easier. But
fair enough.
We heard about the metaverse, right? And I was like, it sounds, from what I seen of the metaverse, it looked horrific, and it sounded like it was being... overly promoted by Meta, that's Facebook, and other companies that were heavily invested in, VR worlds and all of that nonsense. And I suspected it was going to fizzle out and die. Mm-hmm. And it seems to have pretty much done exactly that. It
may be too early to write its death certificate, but we'll get into that coming up here.
Well, it won't die completely, right?
Right. But first, in other tech-related news, Elon Musk is saying that he's on track to close the deal on Twitter coming up by this Friday. Apparently, it's a court-appointed deadline where, look, okay, Elon, you got until Friday to finish this deal, close it out, or we're going back to court. So he presumably wants to avoid going back to court. So apparently insiders are saying that Elon Musk will close the deal on Twitter by Friday. And I presume that means, I don't know a whole lot about, international level corporate takeovers, but I presume that once that deal is closed, Elon Musk is then the CEO of the then privately owned Twitter, right? Isn't it the case that in order to buy Twitter, he has to make a stock purchase from all of the stockholders, essentially? He's not getting like a 51% share in voting rights. He's buying this thing out. Every single piece of stock will then be his, and he can then take the company private and take it off of the stock exchange, correct?
As I understand it, that's the case. And I don't know if I really trust Elon. I don't have to trust Elon Musk with it because I'm on a number of social media platforms. I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg and Meta either. However, I'm not convinced that Elon Musk is the hero of free speech that people want him to be.
I suspect he will disappoint in that area. I think he is going to get a lot of, there's going to be a big cheering squad for him. It's going to look good for a little while, and then you'll probably start to see all the ways that Elon is also restricting people's speech. And there's certain things that they're going to say they have to do, right? Like under whatever government laws, they have to restrict X, Y, and Z, whether it be threatening posts or, whatever other things that they believe that
that's
the
how
law
it starts.
requires them to. Right. Well, right. So, I agree with you. I don't have great hopes for this, but I do enjoy watching the reeing go on about it. There's so many people who are losing their minds. So many people who you might describe as, hard leftist status are losing their minds, including the employees of Twitter.
Well, we knew that was going to happen. It's a leftist cesspool of communists and, LGBTQ people with mental illnesses.
It really is. I mean, you're not exaggerating at all here. And the reason, that we know this is information has come out over the last several months since Elon had expressed the interest in buying Twitter, where they looked at the question is, does this company make money? And no, it does not. They have this huge user base. They've been around for more than a decade, and they've never made money. And
probably because they don't need to. They're propped up by some organization.
Yeah.
Called the government?
Yeah, or some department, some black department.
Something like that.
Yeah, and now they're losing, not only these snowflakes losing their safe space, but the DOJ, the government's losing their, or whatever department has got their fingers or tentacles in here, they're losing their method of control.
Well, you're presuming that Elon Musk won't do the government's bidding too,
or maybe that's why he wanted to back out in the first time around, because he found out.
Oh no, he loves doing the government's bidding.
I don't know.
He loves getting the government money.
Right.
That's for sure.
And, he would get the government's money in order to do this.
There's things that he says, though, that make him sound almost like a libertarian, where he calls out the government as being a monopoly on force.
And then the next day he's praising China and how great a job they're doing. So you can't trust this guy. Now, I'm more interested in whatever is Kanye West. What's his new name?
Ye. Oh, yeah, he's great right now, man.
He wants to buy Parler.
He's buying Parler.
That's interesting.
They've already announced that that's happening.
Because he could actually, he's, in my eyes, he's a Trump-like figure where just being on board. I mean, if he gets kicked off of Twitter and stops using that and goes to Parler, and brings all his folks with him.
Well, now Elon Musk did welcome him back to Twitter when Ye came back to Twitter the 2 days before they restricted his account. Elon Musk did tag Kanye and did say welcome back,
So he's already making CEO-like decisions.
So there's a good chance. Well, he didn't get to make a decision about Ye. He just said welcome back. So presumably he will reinstate his account when he takes over.
Yep.
And of course the big question is he going to reinstate Trump's account as well? And if he does, will
Trump come back?
Go against what Trump said, which is that he wouldn't come back anyway because he can't avoid the draw of the attention.
Yeah, he can't. He's got how many millions of followers on Twitter?
Probably quite a few. I don't remember what it was, but
it was in the dozens of millions.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have that. He was remarkably successful with his social media platform,
yes, despite a terrible start.
But he doesn't have dozens of millions of followers there.
So there are all some interesting questions. What is going to happen next week when Elon Musk takes this thing over, presuming it closes as it's scheduled on Friday? But meanwhile, according to Time Magazine, in an exclusive, they say, employees at Twitter have circulated an open letter protesting Elon Musk's plan to fire as much as 75% of the company's workforce.
I love it.
Well, they're not making money, and that's 75% of the reason they're not making money.
That's right, because paying for employees is the number one expense of any business. It's not rent. It's not property taxes. It's the employees.
And don't some of these people have, I don't remember the job titles now, but they have just ridiculously social justice-y jobs.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Where they don't actually do anything.
No,
they just perpetually are offended.
So, according to the story here, the deadline for him to complete the acquisition of the $44 billion purchase is looming. Musk has to complete it by Friday or face the resumption of the lawsuit in Delaware court, which, again, that lawsuit was Twitter suing Musk. Twitter was suing Musk for trying to back out of the deal. Twitter was saying, look, you made the offer. We first didn't want it, but then we did want it, and now we really want it. So you have to finish this deal. Elon Musk told prospective funders of the acquisition that he planned to replace or eradicate the jobs of nearly 75% of Twitter's staff, reducing headcount from 7,500 to just 2,000. According to the Washington Post, Musk has previously claimed the social media company is bloated and has also said its workforce has a strong left-wing bias.
I agree with that entirely. If you told me that Twitter had 2,000 employees, I would have said that's way too many.
Much.
But they have 7,500 employees?
Yeah. What do they do?
Good Lord.
What do they do all day?
Yeah, I think 75% is not enough. I think he should go for a cool 90%. Yeah.
Yeah, a few hundred to do the IT admin stuff, a few more to do the programming. And what else do you need? These are
some customer service. I mean, if you actually were selling advertising, you'd need some salespeople.
Yeah, but nothing that would come anywhere near 2,000 people.
Time reviewed a draft of the open letter circulating among Twitter employees on Monday. Quote, Elon Musk's plan to lay off 75% of Twitter workers will hurt Twitter's ability to serve the public conversation, said the draft of the letter, which had not yet been published. Quote, a threat of this magnitude is reckless. Undermines...
Well acted, first of all. But I mean, a threat. Dude.
Are you sure that you're just too calm right now?
Is this a threat?
I don't think you've gotten it. I think you should be
red-faced with tears rolling down,
slamming your keyboard, pulling your hair out.
This is so fun.
This is apocalyptic.
This is a group of people that knows nothing at all about running a business, right? And they consider this to be reckless because this company has no purpose. It has no way of, in theory, they could make money. I mean, there are advertisements on Twitter. There is some sort of upgraded customer experience. Customers can pay a fee to, I think, get rid of the ads or something.
I would do that.
I wouldn't do it right now. The number here is 603-283-6160. But yet, despite their millions of users, they've yet to turn a profit. And there's more coming up.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
First things first, you should offer, not ask, to renegotiate. I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. For instant savings, make a list. Video and music streaming services, insurance premiums, your cable bill, your cell phone plan. That gym membership you stopped using by February? All those recurring costs that hit your credit card like clockwork every month. And about that card, tell them you want a lower rate. Many who do get one. And if you don't, because credit cards are stealing each other's customers, sign up for a new one with an introductory 0% balance transfer offer so you at least stop the clock on what you already owe. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join the show here and bring up whatever you want. We're talking about the Twitter employees. They wrote an open letter regarding the alleged
That's such
plans.
a faggy thing to do as well.
It's really whiny what they're trying to do here.
Only these hardcore leftist mental illness broadcasting people would even think to write an open letter to the CEO of Twitter and expect it to have any effect whatsoever.
They're scared. They're worried they're going to lose their jobs. Elon Musk has said he may fire as many as 75% of Twitter's workforce or replace 75%. Sounds like he's going to fire them. And so these people are worried they're going to actually have to go and get a real job. I mean, they've just been sitting around Twitter just hanging out, basically. Earlier this year, there were like narratives that were shared by people who have worked or were working at Twitter, just talking about the hard left atmosphere, the hardcore like socialist atmosphere at the workplace. They had said that if you didn't want to come to work, it's totally fine. You didn't have to come to work.
They'll pay you anyway. They don't care.
Didn't matter. I mean, that was just one example. I'm sure there's many worse examples, but if you want to come in, comment, you are welcome to join us here at 603-283-6160. Also, I do want to say thanks to David Santara, who is a Free Talk Live supporter of our AMPS program at amps.freetalklive.com. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. If you like what we do here and you want to help us continue Free Talk Live and expand onto more great radio stations, you can do that. Just head over to amps.freetalklive.com to get signed up. That's amps.freetalklive.com. And you get some perks. You get access to the Amps-only podcast, which has our full radio show minus the recorded commercials, and there are other perks as well. You can get signed up at amps.freetalklive.com. So they actually have the full text of the open letter to Elon Musk, the board of directors, which I presume won't exist anymore, right? Like once Elon Musk takes the company private, does there need to be a board of directors? I wouldn't think there would.
I think I would keep them on for in an advisory capacity for the first few months.
I'm thinking all of his backers are going to want to have some part, some say,
get a piece of the action. Yeah, I see what you mean. The people that are funding it.
Yeah, I'm sure. If it was me, I would sit, whatever backroom dealing was going on, I would sit down with those guys and I'd be like, all right, look, let's start our own board.
You're the new board.
Let's get rid of these old guys.
Yeah.
Just fire them outright, and we'll decide what we need to do.
I don't know if I necessarily would agree. Like if I was rich and I was one of these Elon Musk backers, I would understand that I was investing in Elon Musk with the possibility that Musk was going to do what Elon Musk does, and that my interference with that would probably cause the company to lose money. rather than help it gain money.
Well, nothing's worse than taking a visionary company and then putting it in the hands of a board of directors. You take it away from the founder, away from the creator, and you put it in a board's hands, and they screw things up. So that said, though, Conan, we'll see how this all plays out.
I'm not defending Musk. If I could buy it outright, I would buy it outright, and I would do whatever the hell I wanted to do. But
he needed help.
He needed help. Yeah. He's got backers. And I'm sure that they're going to want to make sure that even if they make bad decisions, that they're a part of those bad decisions.
You're probably right.
And I don't think Musk has any say.
I suspect he's got a lot of say. My guess is he was the majority of the money in this deal.
Well, then that case is his seat should be weighted in his favor.
That's true.
If there are going to be a new board making decisions and whatnot.
A lot of people, there was in this Twitter case that was going to go to court, but now is not going to, presuming he closes the deal by Friday. He had to turn over his text messages. Do you remember that from
I never read through any of them. Some people tell me that they were embarrassing.
Yeah.
Some of the he was having conversations with the old guy, the old CEO.
I didn't read a lot of it, but I did read an article that talked a little bit about it, and he did have some interesting discussions with Jack, the former CEO of Twitter, about having like a decentralized Twitter competitor. And what Jack was saying Twitter should have been, like he was disappointed with the centralized direction that it was going, and he had this vision for it, but never got to implement that. So, but what was interesting was they were reporting that a lot of the people that were talking to Elon Musk are just these sycophant types, the ones that essentially they look to Musk as this great man, right? Like he's the richest,
savior,
he's
the
the richest man. And so the people that are trying to curry favor with him are, of course, yes men types. So he had a lot of people in his direct messages that were saying things like, "Whatever you say, Chairman Musk, I'm behind you. I will commit to $5 million," or something like that.
Did they really say chairman?
Well, it was that attitude. It was the attitude of, you say the word, Elon, and I've got your back. Doesn't matter, whatever you want to do, I will commit $2 million or whatever. They would just throw some money up and say, I'm in. You show us the way, we'll throw money in. So I don't know, Conan. You're probably right that people are going to want to have a say, but there's a certain contingent of his quote-unquote friends.
Right.
These people
I'm sure it's the majority of his friends.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if he's got any real friends in his life at all.
That would tell him that he's got a bad idea or something like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of these hangers-on, the sycophantic types that just want to curry his favor, essentially. So
he does seem to come up with a lot of neat ideas.
Yeah,
I mean, even if his truck isn't, the windows aren't shatterproof like he thought that they were.
He comes up with a lot of new ideas.
He's got a flamethrower too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
But coming up with ideas isn't enough. You've got to be able to take that idea and turn it into something useful to people. I mean, yeah, I get it. He's got products, right? But he doesn't have richest man in the world level of products out there. Compare him to like Amazon, where every single one of us has bought something from Amazon.
True. Who's bought from Tesla?
Yeah.
Not me.
Not me.
No, you got Starlink, right?
That's true. You do have Starlink.
Oh, good point. That was SpaceX.
There you go.
Okay, so 1 out of 3 of us.
Yeah.
And you're unusual for having purchased Starlink.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not as unusual these days. It seems to have a lot of buzz around it. There's a lot of people talking about that product because it's a decent product. I mean, you have to put a few $100 up front to get the equipment, so that's going to stop a lot of people, I think, from doing it. Normally, like if you call the cable company and you order internet, they'll usually go ahead and install it without an install fee in a lot of cases.
That's just because they don't charge you up front for the equipment, though. It's not even your equipment. They just loan it to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Starlink is your equipment, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't do you any good if you're not using their service.
But it's still yours, right?
Okay, it's a brick, though, if you're not paying for the
Absolutely.
service.
But, I mean, there's a certain value to be had in something actually belonging to you. If you wanted to, you could take a 2x4 to it, and that would be the end of it. It's yours.
Yeah, I think these yes men you're talking about, Ian, are, they just got too much money.
Yeah,
it's like, what are they going to do with it?
We
might as well invest over here and over here and over here.
Yeah,
and this guy has neat ideas, and he seems to have a good track record. Let's throw him some money.
On the other hand, the Twitter staff doesn't know anything about making money, and so they are complaining already about potentially losing their job. So I've got the actual text of what was apparently a draft version. So apparently this leaked out to the media. Whether this is going to be how the final letter reads, it'll probably be close. Anyway, so here's what it says. We, the undersigned, this is to staff, Elon Musk, and the board of directors. We, the undersigned Twitter workers, believe the public conversation is in jeopardy. Elon Musk's plan to lay off 75% of Twitter workers will hurt Twitter's ability to serve the public conversation. A threat of this magnitude is reckless, undermines our users' and customers' trust in our platform, and is a transparent act of worker intimidation.
I would like to see Elon Musk purchase Twitter and then just close it down. Just shut it down. Just shut down all the servers. It would be so hilarious.
He wouldn't, though,
I know,
because
but that'd be so
he
funny.
has a plan. There's something he wants to do with this.
If he and Jack have an alternative, he could shut it down and create something new.
There's more coming up. It's Free Talk Live. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 15th through the 18th for the 7th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out in 2022. For 2023, we're going back to where it all started, the weekend before PorcFest. ForkFest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 15th through the 18th. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the ForkFest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the ForkFest forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there June 15th through the 18th. forkfest.party.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. The UK has a new government after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak moved into number 10 Downing Street and immediately made his cabinet selections. The Prime Minister pledged to unite the country in the face of what he called a profound economic crisis. He's kept Jeremy Hunt in place as the country's Chancellor of the Exchequer, surprised many observers by sending Suella Braverman back to the Home Office, a position she quit only last week after breaching the code on ministerial conduct. James Cleverly remains the UK's Foreign Secretary. Ben Wallace remains at Defence. FSN's Ollie Barrett remains in our London bureau.
This is a cabinet that feels quite familiar in many ways. That's clearly intentional. Rishi Sunak talking about a government that would have professionalism throughout, and there is clearly a lot of ministerial experience around this table. But again, it allows the Labour Party to attack this as the same old Conservatives rather than an administration which is a significant departure in personnel, really, from either Boris Johnson's or indeed Liz Truss's cabinets.
The financial markets liked what they saw. Sterling hit its strongest point against the US dollar since Liz Truss succeeded Boris Johnson. Business journalist Michael Wilson says investors will look carefully at fresh measures due to be unveiled in the UK Parliament at the end of the month.
He seems to be grabbing hold of the problems and trying to engender some kind of feeling of credibility, within the way that the economy is being run. That's what's been lacking over the past few weeks, and that's certainly what's done all the damage.
President Biden is again warning Russia against using tactical nuclear weapons or a dirty bomb in Ukraine. The president spoke after the Russians warned the UN Security Council that Ukrainian forces may soon use a dirty bomb, unsubstantiated allegations that the government in Kiev denies. In Washington, President Biden was asked whether the Russians are engaged in a false flag operation in a bid to escalate their own use of force in Ukraine.
Russia would be making an incredibly serious mistake if we're to use a tactical nuclear weapon. I'm not guaranteeing you that it's a false flag operation yet. Don't know. But it would be a serious, serious mistake.
The president was speaking shortly after receiving his latest COVID-19 booster shot. That move coming on the day public health experts in New York expressed concerns about a rising tide of infections and hospitalizations in the state. Kanye West has lost another corporate client. This time it's clothing retailer Gap. They ditched the rapper's products hours after German sportswear manufacturer Adidas terminated its relationship over West's recent outburst of anti-Semitic remarks. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
o'clock. You can join the show here. We're talking about the Twitter takeover that is expected to commence as soon as this Friday. Elon Musk is apparently saying, I don't think he's come out and said it, but insiders are saying that Elon is planning to close the deal on Twitter by Friday. Friday's the deadline that the court has given before court proceedings will resume. So if Musk doesn't close the deal by this Friday, court continues, and then he's got to keep doing depositions and jump through all the court civil hoops. Here tonight in the studio, you've got Ian,
Aria,
and Conan.
And Free Talk Live would recommend that if you worked or lived at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988, and you've suffered from cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, you might just be entitled to compensation. There were contaminants in the drinking water for those years. Apparently, that might have led to those diseases, and so there may be some deadlines involved in filing. You probably should call the phone number I'm going to give you here in a moment, and you can check and see if you or a loved one are eligible, and apparently some family members are eligible for this. You can call 888-918-1037. That's 888-918-1037. If you were at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and have had a serious health issue, the money is already set aside. That number, 888-918-1037. So we actually have the text of the open letter to Elon Musk, the board of directors, and the rest of the staff at Twitter, where a bunch of whiny workers, quote-unquote workers, people who may not actually have to even go to work.
They're
to get
workers
paid.
in the sense that Sarah from New Mexico is a worker. They're part of the worker class, the communist worker class.
Well, these workers actually do collect a paycheck. We're not sure if they actually do anything for that paycheck.
Well, Sarah collects a paycheck too.
True. She does get
it's
welfare.
just from the government.
Twitter,
I mean, that's pretty much what these employees were. I wish I could remember some of the job titles and some of the job descriptions now, because
I've got them right here.
Oh, really?
Twitter is currently hiring. Probably not a good time to look into this,
Okay.
but currently 113 openings. Things like director, software engineering. Okay, that makes sense.
Those are good.
Director, Twitter service ops.
Okay.
Don't know about that one.
Customer service. Maybe?
Senior manager, software engineer.
All right, these are all good. Seems Seems like they would probably have someone who should be promoted into those positions rather than hired from outside.
Oh, this one's more like what we're talking about. Senior machine learning engineer, account integrity, harmful group activity.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's one you'll like. That's
a busybody.
Where's that one at? Oh, it's a new program that they're working on. Staff machine learning engineer of Birdwatch. And when I click on
I don't know what the hell that means.
Birdwatch is a new program.
Bird, of course, is the logo of the Twitter, so it probably has something to do with
Twitter.
I always forget that Twitter's logo is a bird for some reason. It just doesn't. I think of it as the T for some reason.
Twitter is seeking a staff back-end software engineer, machine learning for Birdwatch, our pilot program, in a new crowdsourced participatory approach to reducing misleading information. Birdwatch pushes the state-of-the-art in approaching misleading information on the internet, and we employ deeply experimental, fast-moving, and iterative approach to finding product solutions that work for the customers.
There's an entire division that Elon Musk should just eliminate entirely.
I think, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Stay for the purpose, or come for the purpose, stay for the people.
That's the actual...
This is their front page. Life's not about a job. It's about purpose. We believe real change starts with conversation. Here, your voice matters. Come as you are, and together we'll do what's right, not what's easy, to serve public conversation.
I mean, you hear that and you go, yep, this is a hard left company. I don't want to work there. I wouldn't apply to this company.
So they're now complaining because they might lose their job. 75% of Twitter workers may be fired when Elon Musk takes over, and they're calling it a threat. They're saying it's a transparent act of worker intimidation. This is from an open letter that Time Magazine published. We continue with the letter here. It says, Twitter has significant effects on societies and communities across the globe. As we speak, Twitter is helping to uplift independent journalism in Ukraine and Iran, as well as powering social movements around the world. A threat.
Why not Twitter? Why not Russia? Isn't it allowed in Russia?
I don't know. That's a great question. A threat to workers at Twitter is a threat to Twitter's future. These threats have an impact on us as workers and demonstrate a fundamental disconnect with the realities of operating Twitter. They threaten our livelihoods, access to essential health care, and
Lord.
and the ability for visa holders to stay in the country they work in. We cannot do our work in an environment of constant harassment and threats. Without our work, there is no Twitter.
Constant harassment? So are they currently being harassed and we just don't know about it?
They're saying it's a threat and a harassment that Elon Musk, the fact that he exists and that he's coming, is a threat and a harassment.
Yeah, but constant is being used here.
It's been constant ever since he bid for the company. They've been afraid of their jobs ever since.
If this was true, they'd be posted all over the place. Examples of the constant harassment. I haven't seen anything.
Well, they probably would.
Well, it's more subtle than that. It's Elon Musk saying things like, "Hey, I'm going to fire 75% of people."
That's not harassment.
It is to a leftist.
It's a threat to their livelihoods, their essential health care, because they could never get another job.
It's not a state of fact.
No one's hiring out there, Conan. They'll never find any other work.
I can just walk downtown and there's help signs in every one of the windows.
Those are real jobs.
You got to look at these people like you would look at Sarah, right? Sarah's the perfect type of person for Twitter to hire. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't produce anything. She doesn't have anything productive to do. She just wants a paycheck. And so do a lot of these Twitter employees. And somehow, by some miracle, they managed to find a company that would allow them to do exactly that and just collect a paycheck.
I think the sense of entitlement is a very important characteristic you must have in order to work at this place.
Yes, absolutely. And they're freaking out because their entitlement is being taken away.
Right. They thought they had a guaranteed easy ticket, for the rest of their career working at Twitter. And now somebody's going to come in who actually probably knows how to run a company, has some real big ideas for Twitter. He was talking about this app that he's had in mind for some time called X, the Everything app, whatever that means. Elon owns the URL x.com.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever go to x.com, it's literally just the letter X. Just a text.
It sounds like Elon.
Letter X, yeah. x.com. That's all that's on the page. But he has something that he wants to do, and apparently Twitter is part of whatever this larger vision of the quote-unquote everything app is going to be. So they don't like this. They are seeing change on the horizon. And people in general don't like change, right? That's one of the reasons why the libertarians have a tough time getting any kind of traction, because the idea of not having the state, the idea of getting the government out of people's lives is, in a lot of cases, a very scary prospect for people. Well, what about my Social Security?
I mean, Heath Ledger said it best when he was playing the joke. I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it's like people accept the status quo no matter how horrible it is because they're just that afraid of change.
Exactly. So same thing's true on the smaller level. If the Twitter employees are afraid of what's going to happen, not just that they might lose their job, but that somebody's going to come in who's going to ask them to work if they keep their jobs. And they don't want that either. So they go on. We, the workers at Twitter, will not be intimidated.
No, you'll be fired.
We recommit to supporting the communities, organizations, and businesses who rely on Twitter. We will not stop serving the public conversation. We call on Twitter management and Elon Musk to cease these negligent layoff threats. As workers, we deserve concrete commitments so we can continue to preserve the integrity of our platform. We demand of current and future leadership, and then they have a 4-point set of demands that I will share with you here.
That's generally not how this works. You don't really make demands of your employers.
You generally don't, but they may do something like try to unionize or something like that in a last-ditch attempt. I'm surprised they don't already have a Twitter union, Twitter workers union.
They didn't need one up until now.
Well, right. They were so comfy.
Yep. By the way, did you know Musk is now a perfume salesman?
Yeah, I heard about this. What's it called again?
Musk, maybe?
Mm-mm.
No, you would think, yeah, that would make complete sense. But no, he's smelling burnt hair perfume.
What?
Yeah, $100 a bottle.
Just some sort of troll job, right?
It's a definite troll.
It smells like burnt hair?
Apparently.
Okay.
The number here is 603-283-6160, just to see how many bottles he can sell, right?
Hey, you got these cam girls selling their bath water.
Why not?
And
there's so many reasons why not.
Well, more coming up here in moments. You can join us. It's Free Talk Live. Do you prefer to listen to Free Talk Live on your schedule on demand? You can find the link to our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com. which features the daily digest of our radio show 7 days a week. Just drop our RSS feed into your favorite podcast client or subscribe to us on the large platforms if you prefer, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Spotify, and Stitcher. All the links are at feeds.freetalklive.com. If the daily digests aren't enough for you and you really don't want to miss a moment of Free Talk Live, you can always sign up for our AMPS Patreon at amps.freetalklive.com for just $5 a month, and you'll get the full radio show without recorded commercials. Plus, you'll help us advertise, market, promote, and support Free Talk Live. That's amps.freetalklive.com to join AMPS, or feeds.freetalklive.com to get our main podcast, or find us on the major podcast platforms.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live. Phones are open. Join the show here if you want to comment on Twitter. The end of an era of laziness and shiftless employees who don't really seem to be generating any productive capacity for the company that has never made a profit in its over a decade of existence.
Well, it had to make a profit originally, right?
No.
Like back in the day. How else did Jack Dorsey become wealthy and well-known and popular?
Somebody's paying for this thing. Investors have been paying for this thing.
Governments, I think governments,
Yeah,
and
who
maybe
knows?
even black operations that are
Wouldn't surprise
using this for power and control.
As I understand it, Uber has never turned a profit either.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
How are they? They've been in existence for what, a decade now?
Yeah, at least. or at least close to it. So anyway, Conan, you did a little bit of digging on this X.com, and we'll get into the 4-point demand list by Twitter employees who are worried about losing their jobs. There may be a 75% staffing hack and slash when Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, takes over this weekend. And it would be really entertaining to see something happen at Twitter, kind of like happen in Office Space, where they bring in the consultant and he.
I'm ready. What is this? What is this? Wednesday? This is Tuesday. So I'm already prepared for people gluing themselves to things, all the way up until Friday, and maybe even all of them on Friday, all glued to their desks.
Could be.
And with no bedpans to poop in or pee in.
It would be entertaining as hell to have the Office Space consultant come in and have every staff member.
So what
come
do
in.
you do for the company? Just explain to me.
Justify.
What justify your position? What do you do for the company? Yeah. So, anyways, he's talking about this. He wants a super app or an everything app, which he's designated as X.
Whatever that means.
And basically, he wants it to be like China's WeChat.
Well, that's not what anybody here wants.
Let's explain.
Well, yeah, control freaks like Elon Musk and governments.
And he wants everyone signed in so that you can verify that you are a real person and not a bot. And basically, he'll have that database.
Like a social credit score, he's going to have that too?
Sounds like it.
If he is in such favor of how the Chinese are handling their business, then yeah, that's coming next. So if you're in China, you kind of live on WeChat, Musk said. It does everything. It's sort of like Twitter plus PayPal plus a whole bunch of things all rolled into one with a great interface.
Yes,
it's a really an excellent app, and we don't have anything like that outside of China.
There's a reason for that, and it's because it's a control mechanism. If you make the Chinese government unhappy, they just shut down your WeChat account, and then you can't make purchases.
You can't get on the plane. You can't get on the train. You can't buy anything at the grocery store.
Yeah, there's a reason that doesn't exist anywhere outside of the totalitarian hellscape that is China.
Yeah,
Elon Musk, you idiot.
Well, I'm sure there are plenty of people in this country who will jump right on board this, especially the ones
the people he's firing.
Exactly. So maybe he should keep them on. The super app, he continues, should serve as a digital town square that lets users leave comments and post videos. Once the platform has had a high level of trust among the public, Musk said, then payments, whether in crypto or fiat, can make a lot of sense. So he wants basically a PayPal, a Twitter PayPal machine.
Well, already Twitter has some form of Bitcoin integration, as I understand it. I don't know if it's the Lightning Network or whatever.
Yeah, but is anyone using it?
I don't know. That's a good question. Under my bail conditions, I'm prohibited from using crypto, so I've never really looked into it, but I've seen the headlines. I've seen people talking about it. So there's already some sort of payments aspect to Twitter that may be just kind of getting started.
Someone integrated Bitcoin SV with Twitter to some extent as well. I don't remember exactly what it was.
And by the way, what a great time to create an alternative PayPal machine system. With PayPal screwing up the way they are basically last week.
Isn't PayPal Elon Musk's animal?
No. You're thinking of Peter Thiel.
Yeah, Thiel.
And he's no longer involved with
I'm
PayPal.
almost positive that Musk helped create PayPal.
You know what? I think you're right. I think he might have been involved early on. That sounds familiar now that you mention that. I don't think he's still involved with it.
Probably not.
So let's get into the demands here. This is from the Twitter staff, some amount of them that are worried they're going to lose.
Getting fired on Friday, making demands of the boss on Wednesday, on Tuesday.
Well, it'll probably be Monday that they get fired, to be fair.
They demand of current...
No, you don't you fire people at the end of the the week?
Yeah, but he's closing the deal on Friday. I mean, unless he's just going to go right in and just he already knows who's going to wipe out.
I want this.
We'll see. Anyway, here's what they want. They want respect. We demand leadership to respect the platform and the workers who maintain it by committing to preserving the current headcount. Well, that would be stupid. No one who's sane would come into this company and preserve the current headcount. Whether you're going to slash 50%, 20%, or 75%, you've got to cut this bloated beast down to size if you ever want it to make money. Look, these people don't understand business exists to make money. If you're not making money as a business, you either are failing or you're in the initial, getting started phase, right? Like whenever you start a business, you can't expect to make money generally within the first year.
Or you work for the government.
That's not business, right? So you don't expect to make any money when you start a new business for some number of years. Might be 2 or 3 years before you turn your first profits. That's why you have investors, and you plan to work it yourself as a business owner. You're there, 50 hours a week or 60 hours a week, just trying to make ends meet, and then hopefully it catches on. These people they're just workers. They have no idea what it takes to actually run a business.
By the way, I agree with that. All workers should get a little respect.
But that doesn't mean
as long as they
your
are
job.
Yeah, I don't know that this is a demand that any worker should make of his job or his boss, but I think it's kind of unsaid, that everyone respect each other.
Well, I agree with that.
And it's earned. But have to say it out loud. There's where the problem is.
Well, could it even be said that I respect my employer and my boss and the company if I contribute nothing to the progress of the company? That's not respect. That's exploitation.
That's taking advantage. Absolutely. The next demand on their list of 4: safety. We demand
safe space.
That leadership does not discriminate against workers on the basis of their race, gender, disability, sexual orientation, or political beliefs. We also demand safety for workers on visas who will be forced to leave the country if they are laid off. Now, that's actually one that I do. I understand the concern. That's got to suck, right? Like if you're over here working on a visa and you lose the job, I don't know how long you get. I don't know if you have to just pack up the next week and leave, or do you get a grace period where you can try to find another job in the U.S.? That's a question I don't have the answer to. If you've been one of these visa workers and you can explain that to us, I'd appreciate knowing about it.
The last guy I talked to, who's been here in the States for a good couple of years, he went to Antioch here, school.
Mm-hmm.
He's graduated, and now he's trying to stay and actually bring his family over with him. He can't find any job. He says his only outlet is an NGO.
Wow.
And that's where he's going. That's where he's applying with right now. So that's how these guys do it.
Well, my guess is that it's probably less likely that the foreign workers are going to be fired because they're probably some of the smarter people that work at Twitter.
That's a good point. Probably some of the harder workers as well.
Yeah, this guy was sharp. I was like, dude, we need you. I don't want you going back.
Right.
You can tell he was intelligent and he was hardworking. And
they're driven. They're people that are, they want to be here.
Especially the first generation immigrants.
Regarding the rest of the nonsense, though, that's all protected by federal and state law. What do you want? Right. Elon Musk literally is not allowed to come in and fire you because of your gender or your religion or whatever.
He's not going to. He's not going to come in there and fire women because they're women. He's going to fire the people he fires because they're not needed anymore.
Yeah. Once again, I want to see examples of these types of threats. He couldn't get away with that, not in 2022, and they're talking like he's already said it, and he's going to do it. He's going to fall through on it.
Their next demand: they want protection. We demand Elon Musk explicitly commit to preserve our benefits, those both listed in the merger agreement and not, e.g., remote work. So they want him to stay at home. They like staying at home.
I bet they do.
Staying at home.
Especially when you don't have a job description that requires you to actually do anything.
We demand leadership to establish and ensure fair severance policies for all workers before and after any change in ownership. And finally, dignity. We demand transparent, prompt, and thoughtful communication around our working conditions. We demand to be treated with dignity and not be treated as mere pawns in a game played by billionaires.
Well, they need to find a different reality to live in then.
I can't wait for Friday. Come on, bring it on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll definitely keep our eyes on this story as it develops here. The number is 603-283-6160 if you want to jump into the conversation. We'll see how things pan out for the Elon Musk purchase of Twitter, which again is supposed to close as soon as this Friday. Coming up, we'll talk a little more tech here. Conan, you have a story about Meta. That's the company that owns Facebook. And they have something they've been pitching called the Metaverse. And how is it?
I don't think it's doing very well.
Reviews are poor. We will share more about that, and your thoughts are welcome, especially if you've used the so-called metaverse, whether it be Facebook's version or something else. You're welcome to weigh in.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Have you had enough of the big-name web hosting services that are long on promises but short on bleeding-edge features, uptime, and customer service? Try Agorist Hosting, the agile web host that offers full concierge service from website redesign, full e-commerce solutions, custom apps for your Shopify store, IPFS integration, and more. Agorist Hosting is ready to take your web presence into the future. To get started, head over to agoristhosting.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. Russia's representative at the United Nations says the country has shared proof that Ukraine is developing dirty bombs. Kyiv strongly rejects the accusation and says Moscow is planning to use such a weapon and blame Ukraine. FSN's William Denzelo reports from UN headquarters in New York.
Russia's UN Deputy Ambassador says Ukraine is developing dirty bombs to drag NATO into a direct clash with Russia. Dmitry Polansky says bombs containing nuclear material are being developed at 2 Ukrainian facilities and claims Russia has shared its intelligence with UN Secretary-General. Ukraine rejects the allegations, and the UK's Deputy UN Ambassador James Kariuki says London has seen or heard no evidence to back up Russia's claims. The UN nuclear watchdog is set to visit 2 sites in Ukraine to investigate.
Meanwhile, the White House has condemned the decision by a Russian court to reject U.S. basketball star Brittany Griner's appeal against her 9-year prison sentence for drug charges, calling the legal proceedings a sham. The double Olympic winner was convicted in August of smuggling and possessing cannabis oil. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The 32-year-old apologized for her, quote, honest mistake in her appeal hearing via video link, saying it had been very, very stressful and very traumatic. In a statement, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Ms. Griner was being wrongfully detained under intolerable circumstances and said that President Biden had called for her immediate release. He said the Biden-Harris administration has continued to make every effort to bring her home, as well as to support and advocate for other Americans detained in Russia, including fellow wrongful detainee Paul Whelan.
And it's a strong start to the week on Wall Street as U.S. stocks rallied for a second straight day. Some of the market's biggest players are reporting earnings this week. FSN's New York correspondent Gabrielle Fahmy has more.
The S&P 500 climbed 1.6% and the Dow Jones rose 1.1%. But it was tech-heavy Nasdaq leading the way, jumping by more than 2.2%. Among the movers, Twitter up almost 3% on reports Elon Musk is finally going to close the deal by Friday. Ironically, the news pushed the social media company's shares to their highest level this year, close to the price Musk had offered up in his original bid back in April. Tesla, for its part, is up more than 5%. So far, most companies have beat expectations this quarter, but that could change as Wall Street is gearing up for big tech to report earnings throughout the week. Already, shares of Google plummeted more than 5% after close on Tuesday, after missing expectations as YouTube ad revenue came up short.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more depth today at the possibility of a US arms embargo on fresh weapon sales to Saudi Arabia. The idea is gaining support on Capitol Hill after the Saudis and other members of OPEC Plus decided earlier this month to cut oil production. That's exactly the opposite of what President Biden had sought. The White House says US relations with the kingdom are now getting a rethink, just weeks after the president trekked to Riyadh and very controversially fist-bumped Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Analyst Jim Lindsay with the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations says many members of the president's own party on Capitol Hill say it's time to stop supplying Saudi Arabia with weapons.
The Biden administration has not signed up to those calls, and it's hard to see how this would go forward without the administration's consent or approval. But obviously, the administration, precisely because it has indicated that it feels like it has been double-crossed by MBS, is now in a position where people are saying, okay, what are you going to do in response? And that's a real political and policy challenge because it's not clear what the response could be that wouldn't also hurt other U.S. interests.
Lawmakers do have the right to review additional arms sales before they go through. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. Russia and Ukraine spar at the United Nations over allegations that the other is developing so-called dirty bombs. The White House condemns the decision by a Russian court to reject Brittany Griner's appeal against her 9-year prison sentence. And a strong start to the week on Wall Street as U.S. stocks rally for a second straight day ahead of several major earnings reports this week. That is the latest Feature Story News. Ira Spitzer reporting.
Despite a long-held consensus pointing to the mid-20s as the final stage of brain maturation, a new study has found that the adolescent brain doesn't fully form until boys have avenged their father's murder.
New imaging studies suggest that the frontal cortex goes through extensive changes during the period of training when an adolescent boy prepares himself to track down and kill the man who took his father's life. But it's not until the boy stares deep into the murderer's eyes and then stabs him right in the heart that the two lobes fuse into a fully mature brain.
According to Dr. Laurie's findings, the myelin surrounding the teenage nerve synapses develops when boys stake out the home of their father's murderer, put themselves through grueling physical training, and fantasize again and again about how satisfying it will be when he finally makes the bastard who took everything from him beg for his life.
Now, if they let their father's killer slip through their grasp, or if they press the barrel of a gun to the back of his head and then realize they don't have what it takes to pull the trigger, then the amygdala is definitively stunted, and they'll have lifelong problems interpreting emotional information.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour of the show. Phones are open. You can join us. Bring up whatever you want. The number is 603-283-6160. Joining you in the studio, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Conan.
You can join us online anytime you want. Head over to freetalklive.com. We do have a video streaming site. It's called Odyssey. There's video archives there, of course, as well. You can follow our channel. Just go to video.freetalklive.com and you can subscribe there. It's, of course, free to do that. That's video.freetalklive.com. Again, back archives going back for years and live streaming as the show happens. So we've been talking about some technology-related issues. The inevitable, apparently, takeover of Elon Musk taking over Twitter should be happening as soon as Friday. Twitter employees are freaking out. They've signed an open letter. They've written an open letter to Elon Musk demanding that he keep every single job intact and all of their health care and all the everything that they're used to, and not being able to work at all, not having any requirement to even come into work.
I really like how they specifically said, we want to keep the right to quote, work from home.
Now, I don't blame them. I mean, working from home is a nice benefit. It's nice to not have to spend an hour driving to work or a half hour or however long it takes you to get through LA traffic or wherever the hell Twitter's headquarters are. San Francisco, probably. I'm just guessing. A lot of tech companies are based down there. So I don't blame somebody for that. I mean, if you can do your job from home, why go in?
Well, that's the thing. Some number of these jobs, you probably can do them just as easily from home.
As long as you're getting your job done. But Twitter's known for not even requiring you to do your job in order to get a paycheck. So anyway, we're keeping an eye on that. But Conan, you wanted to talk about this metaverse thing, and as did you, Aria. You actually brought the story in, but Conan thought it was such a must talk about. I definitely wanted to get into it here tonight because we haven't covered the metaverse in a little while.
Yeah, because where is it? What's going on? I haven't heard anything about it. I was plastered with, inundated with, ads wanting me to get in there and do whatever. Horizon.
Well, the people who tried it out were like, "Oh, this sucks."
This from the American Prospect.
Or you might get raped in the metaverse.
they talk about that in here.
Oh, God.
Oh, Lord.
When Facebook's CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that the company would be rebranding under the moniker Meta, the public and the media were quick to point out the barely concealed attempt to detach the company from a slew of bad press, from Cambridge Analytica to the Facebook papers. Zuckerberg's brand needed a new name and a new public perception. Couple this with the fact that Facebook was actually losing daily active users for the first time, and the name change made sense.
Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with Facebook's bad reputation or anything like that. I think it's just that a lot of younger people aren't even on Facebook. People are using Facebook less and less.
Yeah, they're using TikTok and Instagram and the whole nine.
And they didn't change the name of Facebook.
No,
it's
they
still
didn't.
Facebook.
Yeah, they created a possibility for the company that owns Facebook to get into other avenues without it being tied to the Facebook name. And I think that was a good thing.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I think going with Meta and trying to pivot towards this metaverse concept was a bad move. And I think history will show that. But they had to do something. And I don't think this is going to work, but they did have to do something.
Yeah, well, I mean, MySpace was a thing. It didn't last. It didn't survive. But
still there.
But I remember that I was on it. I was an active user back in the day, 20 years ago. So I mean, someone has to the trail. There needs to be a trailblazer.
Certainly with MySpace,
we need the Elon Musks out there to have these wacky ideas and to try things and just throw money at the wall and see what sticks.
Well, the thing is, usually the trailblazer isn't the person you know, right? Like Elon Musk may have already blazed that trail. That's why he's the richest man in the world.
Right.
Facebook, Meta, or whatever, they're not bringing any real new crazy ideas to the table. This whole meta concept or metaverse concept has already been around for 20 years. We've already had virtual worlds. This is not anything new. The only thing new is the headset technology. Mm-hmm. That's what didn't exist 20 years ago.
And that's not even that new. It existed. It was just a much more inferior version of it.
Almost unusably bulky.
Oh, absolutely. But it did exist. Like the Virtual Boy did exist in the late 90s.
And it was garbage.
But that was more than 2 decades ago, in fact. And it was absolutely terrible, no doubt.
Yeah.
And then, VR came out sometime after that. The original rounds of the Oculus came out more than a decade ago at this point.
2013, I think was
close to a decade
ago. That range.
And, PlayStation VR, Xbox VR, it just sort of took off there for about a year.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of died out again. And now Facebook wants to resurrect it as something that's for more than just gamers. Kudos to them for trying, but it's a bad idea and it's badly implemented and it's just going to be a spectacular failure.
Maybe this particular foray, but I think that someone will find out. Someone will put the pieces together.
Yeah, they just have to gamify it. That's it. It's really that simple. You just have to offer people an actual video game experience. They can play something like Second Life. There's a reason Second Life and The Sims are so successful, and no one cares about Horizon or whatever it's called.
What perhaps made less sense was Zuckerberg's simultaneous announcements of a foray into the world of virtual reality. As The Verge reported, in the next decade, he thinks most people will be spending time in a fully immersive 3D version of the internet that spans not just Meta's hardware, such as the Quest, but devices made by others. Ever since the rebrand, the public has been bombarded with metaverse advertisements, as I have as well, as Zuckerberg and his board do everything they can to draw internet users back into the profit matrix.
Did either of you ever watch Futurama?
No.
Well, the way they got online there was they put on these VR headsets and these VR suits, and they literally walked around in these digital mall type of things in order to do their online shopping. It's just interesting. That's what Meta wants to create for people.
Maybe he's a fan of Futurama.
It could be, but like it wasn't a good idea in Futurama. They showed what a major problem it really was.
Interesting.
Well, early on when we first started hearing about this metaverse thing within the last couple of years, we saw the story about Walmart that had an online metaverse Walmart that you'd put your headset on and you go quote unquote shopping in this virtual Walmart, and it looked just terrible.
It offered nothing that you didn't get from just going to Walmart.com.
Maybe if it was the gun scene in The Matrix, that type of shopping experience. But I mean, just walking. What do you do? Just walking down
really uninteresting, virtual reality aisles and trying to pick items off a shelf. I mean, it's just
they need to reward you with points for successfully picking things up and tossing them into your basket or whatever. You start doing that and have this online ranking board of people who are most accurate at throwing crap into their basket. And then they have to buy the crap at the end, right? Otherwise, it doesn't even count. That's how you make this crap successful.
Or we just shop the way we shop right now, clickety-clack. This is as fast as I can type. I can scroll through thousands of items of inventory and on Amazon. So I don't have to walk anywhere. I can just sit there.
It's faster, and that was what the Futurama going online thing really showed. Is that it sounds clever to walk in this digital mall from Barnes and Noble down to the clothing shop or whatever, but that's so much slower and more unwieldy than just typing in Kohl's.com or whatever.
While the move into VR was slightly confusing, given the continued appeal of Meta's array of social networking sites, which include Instagram and WhatsApp, the story still made sense. Meta is not just attempting to reconstitute the social dominance Facebook had in the 2000s and 2010s, but to usurp an entire industry. And in keeping with past insidious traditions of Facebook, Meta is still working to keep the public under constant surveillance for the benefit of capitalist consumerism. I don't think this article likes Facebook or Zuckerberg.
Who does?
I'm going to skip down a little bit. The good news. All right. The good news is that Zuckerberg's metaverse platform Horizon Worlds, by most accounts, is doing really, really badly.
The good news.
To say nothing. Have you looked at YouTube videos of what it looks like? It's terrible.
Yeah, like a couple of months ago. I haven't looked at anything recently. It hasn't
improved. I haven't looked at it in the last month or two, but last I checked, it hadn't improved. And I can't imagine it suddenly looks like Skyrim, which, by the way, is like 15 years old at this point.
Yeah. From complaints of horrible rendering to sexual harassment, issues within the platform have turned off many people. Meta spent $15 billion on the platform, and no one knows how.
They don't even have legs on this platform.
It's almost like maybe it's a laundering service.
There was a story within the last couple of weeks that Meta was going to actually add legs to their floating bodies.
Why they didn't in the first place is just beyond me.
So they supposedly are getting the legs in the future, but...
They need to spend another $15 billion
future update
to develop
will have
legs.
your entire body.
All right, there's more coming up here in moments. More on the metaverse. It's Free Talk Live.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com.
All skill levels will be needed when the first of the free private cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. FreePrivateCities.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. The phones are open if you want to join us here at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Conan.
Got all kinds of features on our website. You can enjoy them. Just go to freetalklive.com and you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners and some of the hosts on our social media platform at social.freetalklive.com. You just head on over there and you can create your accounts. It's not like Twitter or Facebook or Meta or whatever. You have a lot more freedom to express yourself at social.freetalklive.com. We're talking about Meta and their quote-unquote metaverse, which is just a glorified low-resolution, low-polygon count virtual reality system that they've come up with for their Oculus Rift or Oculus-based platform that where, you know, it's virtual reality goggles and you're supposed to have meetings or something in this metaverse. The idea is that you can do more than just play games. You can be productive in the metaverse. That's the whole pitch behind this concept. They want to sell more Oculus, obviously. That's or Oculi. They want to sell more of these things, and so they want to expand beyond just gamers that have an interest in this particular technology. That's
as I've said before, I think that is where they've messed up.
Yeah, absolutely, because they haven't marketed anything to gamers.
That's who you need to hit, the gamers.
Well, I think you can go in here and like play mini golf or something like that.
That's not what gamers want.
There's some sort of, there's some kind of games in the Meta Horizon world. So there's a gaming aspect of it, but it's by no means cutting edge. It's by no means top tier. It's like an afterthought, right? Like, we better throw something in for the gamers.
And of course, the other type that they're advertising to that they'll want to pick up are these Twitter careerists who want to work from home. In fact, a lot of the YouTubes that I'm seeing that cover Horizon, it's all about business meetings,
right?
And how to work around the office, and to how do you bring up a link to this video so we can all watch it, and how do you tabulate who's here and who's not. So yeah, I think that's who they're really trying to capitalize on.
I mean, could it be
businesses?
I mean, that's not a bad idea on its face, right? Like, anybody that's had the work from home experience knows that a Zoom meeting is rife with problems, right? It's so and so can't get their mic working, or the camera's not working for this other guy over here.
But you're going to have the same problem with this new setup.
Yeah.
In fact, probably even more, especially right off the bat.
Right.
But yeah, I think more and more people are figuring out Zoom. I think if old grandmas in the city hall meeting can figure it out, or the school board meeting.
It's still bad. The people at the school board meeting have professional technicians setting that stuff up. People going to these meetings still are having trouble getting their mic. I mean, still, we have a NH Exit meeting on every Sunday for the people, the independent supporters, and every night, it's not uncommon for somebody to get in there that just cannot get their mic or their video working.
I think that's what Facebook wants to do. Is they want to be the Apple of metaverse technology,
plug and play.
Yeah, because that's what you get with Apple, and that's why people like it so much. They don't have to set anything up; they just go buy this Apple
simple
hard drive, and they throw it on their desk, and their Apple laptop and their Apple phones, they automatically see it. They don't have to do anything. And Meta wants to create that sort of infrastructure for virtual reality. That's my impression, to make it easier for people so they don't have to tweak around with video settings and graphics settings, because these are PC problems. This is why video game players have no issue with setting up webcams and choosing microphones and stuff like that, because we've been doing crap like that with computers our entire lives.
Yeah.
But your average person who's just using Microsoft Word or Google Chrome or whatever, that's beyond them. They don't know how to set up a webcam.
And that's why I keep going back to it. I think that they are not capitalizing on the correct audience, and that are gamers. And I've said before, I think they're trying to create these town hall areas where.
Conan, they've been selling Oculus to gamers primarily for the last decade.
Yeah, but
gamers stopped buying this crap 5 years ago, though.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about games. I'm not talking about Meta should invest in creating games, producing games. I think they should create that hub, that public square where gamers go and hang out, and then they go play their games. So they're in the they're in the lobby, in the waiting room, and they're like Discord, and they're with their guild, and they're getting ready to go do some boss raid. And they're all in there, and they're strategizing, and you need to do this, you need to be over here. Where's so and so, and you get everything up and running, and then you lobby out to your raid.
I mean, that's all well and good, but gamers stopped buying VR headsets 5+ years ago.
Did they? I mean, are the sales really going down?
I don't know any gamer that's got one. I know some people who got one for like watching movies together online and crap like that, but I don't know any gamer who's played. If you've out there and you've played a VR video game within the last 3 years, give us a call, 603-283-6160, because I don't think anyone out there has.
Well, I periodically...
I think that previous period where I played Skyrim VR and everyone else was playing VR on PlayStation, I think that was the last time anyone touched any of this in the gaming world. And I suspect that since then, it's just been dead.
I think that's the quality of the games, and I think as they become more and more successful, as the software increases, I think more and more people are going to finally jump on board. Maybe even myself. I've never owned any of this. But I've watched some playthroughs on YouTube of some of these games. I don't know any of the names of them, but some of them are pretty slick. I mean, they look really neat. I mean, walking around picking things up and throwing them, and
the technology is pretty impressive. And that's me speaking about playing it maybe 3-4 years ago now. And obviously, there are new, despite what Arya says about it not being a thing. I mean, they're still making these headsets, so I presume somebody's buying them.
Maybe, but I don't know when they released the Quest 2 or whatever, the $300 one here at Walmart, the big selling point for it was that it supported Resident Evil 4. I don't know anyone
Which is an
out
old
there.
Game,
yeah,
right?
It's an extremely old game. Well, that's probably about the best that the Oculus 2 could handle, or the Rift 2, whatever it was called,
the thing
could
is,
really handle.
Don't need with the virtual reality, at least at this point in the game, you don't need to have the next generation graphics for it to be a really fun experience.
You don't, but you do need it to sort of help with the vertigo.
It just depends on the tracking. I think some people, you can't solve that problem. They're never going to be able to use VR. There's just a certain segment of people that cannot handle it. But if you're dealing with high quality equipment that has quick reaction, like to where when you turn your head, it turns at the same time, like within however many nanoseconds or milliseconds. If there's a delay in that, that's where the vertigo comes from. So the higher quality equipment shouldn't be causing those problems.
Well, the PlayStation VR, I doubt that it was low quality content. But then again, Skyrim wasn't designed for VR from the ground up. It was just something they sort of added to it. And sloppily.
PlayStation VR is old tech at this point, right? Like it's almost a decade old.
Is it that old?
Not quite, like 2015, somewhere in that
guess.
But they just came out with the Quest Pro, which is a $1,500 price point. Now they still have the other Quest, which is $399 apparently. I mean, these are all pricey devices, but it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. And Conan, what else did you want to tell us?
And by the way, we're talking about gamers. How many PCers are out there? I mean, people building their own. Yeah, but I mean, compared to console players, people who want plug and play.
Mm-hmm. More and more people I know are like, I wish I still had a gaming PC. Now I'm just an Xbox player or whatever.
So I would say the people who are buying these devices, the Quest Pro and whatever, they're PC owners, and I think those are I don't think there's a whole lot of them out there.
There's more coming up here. If you want to weigh in on the metaverse, you can join us at 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. Russia's representative at the United Nations says the country has shared proof that Ukraine is developing dirty bombs. Kyiv strongly rejects the accusation and says Moscow is planning to use such a weapon and blame Ukraine. FSN's William Denzelo reports from UN headquarters in New York.
Russia's UN deputy ambassador says Ukraine is developing dirty bombs to drag NATO into a direct clash with Russia. Dmitry Polansky says bombs containing nuclear material are being developed at 2 Ukrainian facilities and claims Russia has shared its intelligence with UN Secretary-General. Ukraine rejects the allegations, and the UK's Deputy UN Ambassador James Kariuki says London has seen or heard no evidence to back up Russia's claims. The UN nuclear watchdog is set to visit 2 sites in Ukraine to investigate.
Meanwhile, the White House has condemned the decision by a Russian court to reject U.S. basketball star Brittany Griner's appeal against her 9-year prison sentence for drug charges, calling the legal proceedings a sham. The double Olympic winner was convicted in August of smuggling and possessing cannabis oil. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The 32-year-old apologised for her, quote, honest mistake in her appeal hearing via video link, saying it had been very, very stressful and very traumatic. In a statement, US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Ms. Griner was being wrongfully detained under intolerable circumstances and said that President Biden had called for her immediate release. He said the Biden-Harris administration has continued to make every effort to bring her home, as well as to support and advocate for other Americans detained in Russia, including fellow wrongful detainee Paul Whelan.
And it's a strong start to the week on Wall Street as U.S. stocks rallied for a second straight day. Some of the market's biggest players are reporting earnings this week. FSN's New York correspondent Gabriel Fahmy has more.
The S&P 500 climbed 1.6% and the Dow Jones rose 1.1%. But it was tech-heavy Nasdaq leading the way, jumping by more than 2.2%. Among the movers, Twitter up almost 3% on reports Elon Musk is finally going to close the deal by Friday. Ironically, the news pushed the social media company's shares to their highest level this year, close to the price Musk had offered up in his original bid back in April. Tesla, for its part, is up more than 5%. So far, most companies have beat expectations this quarter, but that could change as Wall Street is gearing up for big tech to report earnings throughout the week. Already, shares of Google plummeted more than 5% after close on Tuesday, after missing expectations as YouTube ad revenue came up short.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. The phones are open. You can join the show here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Joining you tonight, Ian.
Aria.
And Conan.
And I want to make sure you know about Bitcoin.com. If you're ready to start learning about cryptocurrency, then Bitcoin.com can help you. You just go to Bitcoin.com, click Get Started at the top of the page, and you will find some introductory information that will explain the basics about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. And these are important ideas that you really ought to get down before you decide to buy in and grab your first little bit of crypto, because you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Like right now, Bitcoin finally jumped back up above $20,000 today. I don't know if it's still there. Yeah, it looks like it's still there.
Oh, wow. Congrats, Bitcoin.
It had been around 19,000 for a little while. It's up over 20,000 today. But you can get 1% of a Bitcoin, or less than that if you want to. So, and of course, Bitcoin Cash is even cheaper, and there's a bunch of other cryptos out there. In fact, many of them can be purchased, as I understand it, through Bitcoin.com. You can go there and click Get Started at the top of the page. Start learning about cryptocurrency.
Real quickly, on the subject of the value of Bitcoin over the last several months, it's been really weird. Every single time I go to Google News or whatever, there's some sort of headline there about how crypto is crashing. So I messaged one of my friends, hey, what is crypto doing right now? And I'm like, none, it's still sitting there at 19,000. But every single day, there's a new article about how crypto is crashing, and yet it's still just sitting there at the same value.
Maybe they're just trying to create the reality they want to see.
I think that must be it.
All right, Conan, let's keep going here. Metaverse, their new thing, or Meta's Metaverse. Metaverse is a bigger concept than just Meta's product, but that's what they're pushing.
Yeah, and does anyone even own that name? Metaverse is a
science fiction.
It's a cyber future type of a thing.
Yeah, it was created by a science fiction author. I don't remember the name of the author.
Snowpiercer or something?
Metaverse as a term is probably public domain. I mean, it's used in scientific circles. I don't think you'd be able to claim trademark over the word metaverse.
Yeah, it's
Facebook would have if they could have.
1990s novel, Neil Stephenson, Snow Crash.
Okay.
But yeah, this article, as I said in the break, is turning out just to be these people don't like Zuckerberg, and I don't think anyone does.
I mean, that's fine. We had to deal with Zuckerberg and Meta's nonstop puff pieces from the media for 6 months of the last year, so it's fine to have one that goes the opposite direction.
And I don't know that they really cover why the metaverse is not as popular as they would want it to be. I do have some numbers here. We talked about them spending $15 billion on this project, and as of October, they only have 200,000 subscribers,
and none of them have legs.
But I was talking about my gaming hub. Mm-hmm. Look at this. I mean, think it, and it's on the internet somewhere.
Right. Somebody already did it.
But despite this attempt to gobble up the industry and explicitly use the metaverse to replace the internet, what Meta is creating just isn't appealing. People who are buying Quest hardware are not using the Horizon Worlds platform. Instead, they are logging into popular platforms such as VR Chat and Rec Room. Mm-hmm. Rec Room alone has 5 million active users, and I'm looking at it right now, and it's exactly what I was just describing.
Really?
It's a room, a lobby where gamers can go hang out, and they can chat, and they can strategize, and do the whole nine.
I don't know. 5 million may be inaccurate. I was just reading an article during the break from I don't remember the name of the company, but they're one of the best ones able to look at how many active VR users there are each month, and they came up to about, well, they didn't say how many per month, but they said 5 million active users.
Right. Sadly, they don't have legs either.
In Rec Room?
No.
It's probably too hard to do it.
Why would it be that hard? I mean, even the worst video games I can think of manage to give the player legs.
Yeah, they do look a lot better than Horizon characters, though, the avatars. They look like, I don't know, they look like very, very cheerful, colorful Lego people without legs.
Like Minecraft?
No, even better. It's crisp. This is some crisp graphics going on right here.
Okay, they do look better. Okay, yeah.
Look, I get the whole no legs thing. I mean, I'm not a programmer for this, but it would seem to be unnecessarily complicated. You wouldn't necessarily know exactly where the legs should be. They probably tried it, and it probably just looked awkward.
Wonky, yeah.
It probably looked really weird, and so they said, you know what?
All of this looks wonky and weird, though.
You know what? I don't want legs. I want tank treads. There you go. I want like a hoverboard.
I mean, you ought to have that option, right? That's the whole point of this VR crap. It's like, why are you working on programming legs? Why don't you program me some tank treads or a unicycle or something like that?
Yeah, but
that would be better.
But
Good idea.
But you have to pay extra for that.
Well, see, they've lost me again.
Zuckerberg has placed billions of dollars and all his faith into the future of this metaverse platform. He's pinned his hopes on the same strategy of crushing rivals and monopolizing the VR space. But the reality is that Facebook's users base and the world more generally is maturing past the need for Zuckerberg's concepts, where he was once in touch with what the world wanted and how they wanted to connect. He now thinks an office meeting room will capture people's imagination. He's just another boring CEO with boring CEO ideas.
I think that's a fair criticism of this. One of the failures of the Horizon Worlds platform, as I understand it, you have to have their hardware to go in there. You can't just go to their website and log in and get a feel for what this is like. Even though I understand that they want people to have the experience of the VR, someone who doesn't have that hardware cannot join this meeting.
You can play a lot of VR games in just using a regular screen.
Right.
You should be able to.
Yeah, and the same thing's true of this thing, Rec Room. I'm on their website here, free for Android, iOS, PC, console, and VR. So VR is not the forefront aspect of this. It probably is cool as hell in VR because that's the best way to experience it. But if you just want to sit on your laptop or on your phone, you can join into this, whatever it is. Whether they're playing, it looks like they're playing like little games like Capture the Flag, and they've got games that are sort of built into this thing. Or
do
just
they
have a meeting.
do they want any money?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
If it's available for Amazon, chances are that it's ad supported or something like that. I mean, for Android, not Amazon.
It just says download. I don't know if you have to pay, or maybe there's
PlayStation, Steam. They're on all these platforms. This is just what I was talking about. This is neat.
There's and I've used the VR World one, or whatever it was called, VR Chat one. That one, Derek J had set up like a club, like a virtual lounge, basically in there, and he was going to have some kind of an event hosted there, and he invited me in to kind of check it out, and I just had to go on my normal laptop and use a mouse and was easily able to get around in it. It wasn't something I would really come back to, just because I just don't care about those things. I've got other things going on. But for people that are interested in this, there's a lot of options. You don't have to use the Horizon platform, and why would you? What do they have that the rest of these don't? It looks like these other ones are far more advanced and cost way less to develop. And are already have an existing user base to support them. What is Facebook going to do to differentiate themselves? Oh, we're the only one where you can only use VR? Well, great. That means you're never going to have the majority of the users. Ever.
They're talking about legs. if they can just bring legs to the equation, I mean, they'll have a one-up on Rec Room.
App.
By the way, did you say something? The creator of Oculus is shredding Zuckerberg?
Yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot to the story, but the New York Post, apparently they talked to Palmer Luckey, who sold Oculus to Facebook for $3 billion, and then was later fired. So, it was one of those deals where he sold it, but he was still working for him. And so they fired him. He compared Zuckerberg's foray into the metaverse to a project car, a pet initiative requiring a massive investment with no guarantee that anyone else will find it worthwhile. He said, I don't think it's a good product. It's not. It's not fun. It's not good. I actually think most of the people probably on the team would agree that it's not currently a good product. It's like a project car. And again, talk about the 15.
That's an accurate assessment.
Yeah, but there's some pretty smooth project cars out there.
Not this, though.
Yeah,
Not
but you
this.
don't expect to make money off a project car.
This is true.
And Meta expects to make money.
Unless you go to shows and, show it off. I mean, maybe that's good enough.
Earlier this month, Wall Street Journal reported Meta has already cut user growth goals for its platform, Horizon Worlds, due to sagging early results. So they were already saying to their investors, yeah, we're going to lower the amount of users we're expecting for this because people know it sucks.
And it does.
200,000 subscribers.
But it's early yet, maybe.
No, I told that someone else is good. Trailblazers.
It's late.
Zuckerberg is not the trailblazer here.
No,
it's going to be someone else.
I agree. There's more coming up here. The number is 603-283-6160, and you can join us. Bring up whatever you want here on Free Talk Live. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live. Phones are open. You can join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Here in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Conan.
We've been talking about the metaverse, the next big thing.
Maybe.
It's supposed to be a big thing, but it's not so much at this point. And there's probably different reasons for it. One, the hardware is still expensive. It's still bulky looking. And I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen the newest new generation versions, but I did try on, I believe it was the original Oculus. It still had the wires coming off the back of it, the one that I tried, and it was really impressive. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It was really cool. Conan, have you ever tried any of these things, these virtual realities?
Way back when, someone's iPhone or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Strapped in the goggles, and I about
Google
puked.
Cardboard.
Took me about 15 seconds, and I almost puked.
Yeah,
it was a roller coaster.
We tried that here. Yeah, I don't know if you were here that night, but we did do that. We got the Google Cardboard, which was this foldable cardboard cutout thing that you could fold into VR goggles, and then you inserted your iPhone or your Google Android into the cardboard, and then you ran, like you said, it was like a
simulator
app. Yeah. And
I've heard of these. I've never tried it.
It's a, proof of concept.
I actually have a couple. I picked them up trying to, sell them on Craigslist or something. They're real nice. I mean, heavy duty, and you slide your phone in there.
Oh, there are some like plastic ones too, but you literally could get the cardboard version where you folded the thing up. And so it was just like a proof of concept of, you can do Google or you can do virtual reality without spending, more than $10 for this thing. And so this was before anybody had Oculus. I mean, you could get Oculus, but it was expensive, and if you didn't want to put the money into it, you could try virtual reality. And we put it down.
I'm trying to determine here. I'm still on Rec Room's page. I'm trying to determine whether you even need a VR set.
No,
it sounds like no.
No, I told you earlier. You can do it on your phone.
Yeah, I mean that's all right. That right there is also good to know.
Right.
So now you can get even more participation from the normies.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you,
haven't invested.
Conan.
Yeah, but that's not what Meta and Facebook want, though. They don't want you to be able to access this using just any laptop or any web browser or whatever. They want to they want to sell their hardware first of all.
Yeah, but we're talking about how do you get people in the door? How do you get them in the house? You have to make it open to everyone, and then eventually people will see. All my buddies have the VRs, and I'm the only one. I'm the only one out. They're always claiming how great it is.
Right. Or you give some sort of bonus to the VR user, right? Like you give them some sort of thing that the other people. I mean, obviously the experience.
Yeah, like tank treads.
Right. Something like that. Some sort of extra.
But I don't see the benefit of this versus just using a Discord server to hang out with your gaming buddies.
Well, now that's where the user experience, if there's anybody out there listening who wants to comment, would be useful, right? Like there's supposedly millions of users of these VR chats in the rec rooms or whatever. There's apparently a lot of people that are into this, so they could explain it, right? We're having a tough time getting it, but there's probably a reason for this.
All right, you've played World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I quit my old Discord account because I was sick of the gaming obligations that were being thrown at me.
Yeah, but I mean, you get on World of Warcraft on some of the servers that I was a part of, and Friday night, everyone's hanging out at the spot, and everyone's just.
I've never in my life played World of Warcraft on a Friday night.
Everyone. Well, I'm more nerdy than you. So I mean, but you have, I don't know.
But yeah, there were certainly days that were busier than others.
If they're not like raiding the opposition, everyone's hanging out and at some spot and chatting,
outside
and they're jumping off of things. Some guy is purposely spawned into a level 1 and he's jumping off the cliff so he can spell out something with his dead corpses.
Yeah.
That's stuff you can't do in a chat room, is what you're saying. There's an experience to having the VR or just the virtual experience or whatever.
Yeah, and everyone's showing off their swag. Mm-hmm. You know, this is where you hang out and
you bought your fancy outfit or your hairstyle or whatever, and you want people to see it.
Yeah, but none of the stuff you get in World of Warcraft or any other online game is going to show up in this rec room.
Why not?
Because it's not programmed that way. It's not programmed to interact with World of Warcraft.
Ian says you can get tokens. You can buy tokens from Rec Room, and I guess you can use them to buy stuff like
yeah,
tap
but
treads.
then you got to play Rec Room, and you got to spend more money on that.
Well, that's what they want you to do, spend money on it.
Yeah, but I want to play a video game. I don't want to spend money on some chat service.
Well, that's the difference between you and these people, is these people want to chat, and the furries, for instance, I'm looking at rec.net is their website, and it shows freeze frames from people's various different experiences on the Rec Room, and sure enough, there the furries are hanging out.
Yeah, as soon as you said furries, my went, of course.
Are you
this
not?
was designed
for
furries.
Are you not familiar with our Free Talk Live chat room? People live in this thing. They're there. They're there all the time.
There's something wrong with those people.
These people exist. They love it. They interact with each other. They have their personalities.
Then give them a VR chat room for them to sit around and do whatever it is they do.
They're probably on one as we speak.
They're too busy in ours.
They're probably in multiple chat rooms. These are trolls, man. They go wherever they can.
Yeah. So, there's just a certain type of person that enjoys let's just say, the creative expression of being able to have an avatar for themselves that doesn't necessarily look like them, right? They can dress up however they want to.
As a unicorn.
Or whatever.
A furry
or, a skeleton.
I mean, I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I can get all of that in an actual video game. I can make my World of Warcraft character look however I want it to look.
There are apparently games that you can play in this thing.
Now, as you mentioned earlier, the reason I don't play World of Warcraft any longer is because of the time sink.
Yeah,
and when other people expect you to be somewhere so you can all raid together on Friday or Saturday, whatever you play, that's like, no. And this is why I'm a single player only these days, because I can turn the damn thing off.
No obligation.
Whenever I want to. No obligation. I don't owe anyone
There's
anything.
No social aspect to it.
But some people people love that. Yeah, I agreed. No Care Bear servers for me.
Well, I mean, even the arenas in World of Warcraft, they were great because I could just go online, find an arena buddy. We do some arenas. When I'm done, I'm done. There's no obligation. Hey, where were you this last Wednesday night? You weren't online. I was looking for you. I don't need that in my life.
But still, but Arya, once you this random dude, this rando, you start all of a sudden. He's expecting you to be on Friday. He's like, dude, you were so good. Look at our score, man. Look at our rank. I need you. Everyone else sucks.
You remember where I just said I deleted my old Discord account because of crap like that, right?
Right.
I'm good, man. Once gaming stops being fun and it becomes this sort of obligation.
A chore.
Yeah, I'm out. Done. There's a reason that even though I was super excited about the release of Wrath of the Lich King Classic, World of Warcraft going back to its roots, to its most popular expansion, I have not touched it since it launched, and I'm not going to, because there's no way for me to interact with that without simultaneously recreating all of those other obligations because of how all of my Battle.net accounts and my Discord accounts, all of that crap is tied together. It's not worth it to me.
The other thing that I think people like about these virtual worlds, whether it be the VR chat or Rec Room or what was the one that came before all of this? I'm losing it at the moment.
Second Life?
Second Life, thank you. Which still exists. Has been around for 20 years or something like that. It's still going. So it's a tremendous success
Aren't
story.
people still playing Ultima?
Wouldn't surprise me. But the thing that I think one of the things,
and EverQuest 1?
One of the wouldn't surprise me either. But one of the things that I think some people really like is the creation aspect of this, right? Where you can build a thing. You can build your virtual world vision.
And be someone else.
There's the be someone else, but dress how you want. But there's also, you can build your own house or club or this place for people to come to and hang out in virtual reality. And there's some people that really get into it. They really spend a lot of time.
How does the online experience in Minecraft work? Is it all?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Is it all
That's
one
the
big?
Game I'm
Is it all
these days,
one
right?
big server? Everyone's on the same server.
I think there's different servers.
There are different servers. I have one, and like me and some friends from work play it. We pop on, we do some stuff. Occasionally, another person's online. We drop off. No one's ever obligated to come online and do a thing. It's great. That's the way gaming should be.
But I guess your creations are there for everyone to go take a look at.
Yes, and to destroy if they want. This is why you got to be careful about who you let on your server. Obviously,
this is one more aspect of these rooms, these lobbies, where if the server is big enough, you have people who building castles, and they've cloud castles or underground hobbit holes over here, and they got all their loot and their swank up on the walls where you can come and take a look and maybe steal and destroy
or buy it.
Yeah, virtual shops.
That's what they've been doing that with Second Life for decades.
Yeah.
There were people
But that's
making
exactly
money.
it, right? Why would you play in Horizon or Rec Room or whatever when you can just instead play Minecraft or Second Life or whatever?
Well, Rec Room is like Second Life. Rec Room, it seems like the newer version of Second Life. So presumably there's an in-game currency, just like with the Linden dollars, I think they called it in Second Life. There were literally people who were making a living selling things in Second Life.
That's crazy.
I don't know if
I mean, kudos to them.
In World of Warcraft, selling gold.
Yeah, probably true.
Gold farmers.
They were Chinese prisoners, though, who were being
Some of them were.
forced to they were being forced to play World of Warcraft for like 16 hours a day and stuff. It was brutal.
Wow.
True story. True story.
That's crazy. All right, hour number 3 is coming up here, although it probably beats working in, an actual factory
mud.
or, something brutal. More coming up here. Hour 3 is on the way. It is Free Talk Live. Gold and silver. You can own the most stable assets in recorded history with BullionMax.com. Buy direct from BullionMax.com without talking to a salesperson, and your precious metals shipped fully insured directly to your home. Free Talk Live can get you their silver starter kit at employee pricing. Just go to BullionMax.com/FTL. It includes 5 ounces of the most desirable silver products plus a free gold back. This offer is limited to 1 per household, so get yours now. Go to BullionMax.com/FTL.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. Russia's representative at the United Nations says the country has shared proof that Ukraine is developing dirty bombs. Kyiv strongly rejects the accusation and says Moscow is planning to use such a weapon and blame Ukraine. FSN's William Denzelo reports from UN headquarters in New York.
Russia's UN Deputy Ambassador says Ukraine is developing dirty bombs to drag NATO into a direct clash with Russia. Dmitry Polansky says bombs containing nuclear material are being developed at 2 Ukrainian facilities and claims Russia has shared its intelligence with UN Secretary-General. Ukraine rejects the allegations, and the UK's Deputy UN Ambassador James Kariuki says London has seen or heard no evidence to back up Russia's claims. The UN nuclear watchdog is set to visit 2 sites in Ukraine to investigate.
Meanwhile, the White House has condemned the decision by a Russian court to reject U.S. basketball star Brittany Griner's appeal against her 9-year prison sentence for drugs charges, calling the legal proceedings a sham. The double Olympic winner was convicted in August of smuggling and possessing cannabis oil. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The 32-year-old apologised for her, quote, honest mistake in her appeal hearing via video link, saying it had been very, very stressful and very traumatic. In a statement, US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Ms. Griner was being wrongfully detained under intolerable circumstances and said that President Biden had called for her immediate release. He said the Biden-Harris administration has continued to make every effort to bring her home, as well as to support and advocate for other Americans detained in Russia, including fellow wrongful detainee Paul Whelan.
And it's a strong start to the week on Wall Street as U.S. stocks rallied for a second straight day. Some of the market's biggest players are reporting earnings this week. FSN's New York correspondent Gabriel Fahmy has more.
The S&P 500 climbed 1.6% and the Dow Jones rose 1.1%. But it was tech-heavy Nasdaq leading the way, jumping by more than 2.2%. Among the movers, Twitter up almost 3% on reports Elon Musk is finally going to close the deal by Friday. Ironically, the news pushed the social media company's shares to their highest level this year, close to the price Musk had offered up in his original bid back in April. Tesla, for its part, is up more than 5%. So far, most companies have beat expectations this quarter, but that could change as Wall Street is gearing up for big tech to report earnings throughout the week. Already, shares of Google plummeted more than 5% after close on Tuesday, after missing expectations as YouTube ad revenue came up short.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking in more depth today at the possibility of a US arms embargo on fresh weapon sales to Saudi Arabia. The idea is gaining support on Capitol Hill after the Saudis and other members of OPEC Plus decided earlier this month to cut oil production. That's exactly the opposite of what President Biden had sought. The White House says US relations with the kingdom are now getting a rethink, just weeks after the president trekked to Riyadh and very controversially fist-bumped Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Analyst Jim Lindsay with the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations says many members of the president's own party on Capitol Hill say it's time to stop supplying Saudi Arabia with weapons.
The Biden administration has not signed up to those calls. And it's hard to see how this would go forward without the administration's consent or approval. But obviously, the administration, precisely because it has indicated that it feels like it has been double-crossed by MBS, is now in a position where people are saying, okay, what are you going to do in response? And that's a real political and policy challenge because it's not clear what the response could be that wouldn't also hurt other U.S. interests.
Lawmakers do have the right to review additional arms sales before they go through. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. Russia and Ukraine spar at the United Nations over allegations that the other is developing so-called dirty bombs. The White House condemns the decision by a Russian court to reject Brittany Griner's appeal against her 9-year prison sentence. And a strong start to the week on Wall Street as U.S. stocks rally for a second straight day ahead of several major earnings reports this week. That is the latest feature story news. Ira Spitzer reporting.
America is at a crossroads on many issues, leading many to ask, is it time for the president to blow the silver horn left behind by the founding fathers in case the country ever needed them? Of course, the horn, which has been sitting in the Oval Office since 1817, has never been used by a commander-in-chief, but many Americans think now might be the time to summon our forefathers. Which founding fathers would come back?
All of them. Look, when you have a bug problem, you call the exterminator. When you have an America problem, you call the founding fathers. They know what to do.
We have to keep in mind the Founding Fathers left us with a warning. If you blow the horn with less than pure intentions, it will turn to tin and can never be used.
But a president has to take risks, have the courage to admit that his administration is not all-knowing, and blow that magic silver horn to summon someone who is.
Yes, but what if we become too reliant on them and they disappear after the next new moon, as was written?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the third hour. Phones are open and you can join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. You can join us here. And in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Conan.
Going to get to your phone calls and thoughts. And then apparently, according to a recent survey, 80% of Democrats and Republicans believe that the political opposition poses such a threat
Civil War.
That if they aren't stopped, it will destroy America as we know it.
Good Lord, I hope so.
Just Democrat and Republican polled? Did they poll independents?
I don't know. That's a good question. We can dig into that coming up here in a little bit. Of course, your calls and thoughts are welcome. Let's go to the phones and talk to Major Payne in Michigan. Go ahead, Major.
You speak of the war, I assume you're talking about the Ukraine.
No.
Talking about the Civil War between the Democrats and the Republicans.
Oh, all right. Well, I kind of smell trouble rising, too. Sewer gas is getting mighty thick.
And where do you stand in the political spectrum? Which side of the aisle? Probably conservative, I'm thinking?
Well, I'm certainly not going to be defending any black flies.
Black flies.
I don't know what that means.
Don't know what it means.
Oh, black lives matter. Black flies splatter.
I definitely don't think that Major Payne counts as a conservative, though. I mean, a conservative calling into this show would never refer to me as she, and Major Payne does that.
That's a good point.
No, the conservatives are a big kind of...
Yourself area.
What's that?
I said I refer to her as she presents herself.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
So, Major, what were you calling about tonight?
Well, I just heard some stuff fall out of Joe Biden's mouth that made my jaw drop.
What did he say
about
now?
A week ago, I called in. I told you about that 15-0 vote about him trying to make the vaccine mandatory among school children.
Yeah, the CDC voted that way.
Yep. Well, tonight, Joe Biden, he pops out with that everybody 5 and up that's had the shot is now recommended to have a booster once a year, just like the flu shot. That's word for word.
Surprise.
Oh, we knew that. We knew this was coming.
I know we did, but they didn't, right? The masses out there, they pretended not to understand what was coming, and we told them, and they laughed and called us crazy conspiracy theorists.
Parents, get your kids out of these schools. This is just one more reason to get your kids out of school, unless you want Katy Perry eye.
Oh my God!
If that's what you want,
you got to explain that now, Conan.
So this is new. This is just happened yesterday, I think. Katy Perry, who's a singer, a pop singer. She's kind of pretty, also kind of wacky, up on stage. And she's looking at the audience, and one of her eyes just kind of droops closed.
Now, was she singing?
She was in between songs, and she's just staring at the audience, and one of her eyes just slowly droops closed, her right eye, and it's the strangest thing. And she kind of taps the side of her face,
and then
to try to get her eye to open back. It opens up, and it closes again. And she taps again. It was like a robot.
Yeah.
Tapping on the side of her head to get her eye to work. Everyone Google this. This is just
I'm watching it right now to see how your description is. But I mean, first they're showing the performance, and that it's not really much.
The clip that I saw was 30 seconds long.
But that's the weirdest part. If my body parts stopped working in front of 100,000 people or whatever is in this audience, I would just continue to stare at the audience.
Must go on.
I would at least turn my head and.
Well, they're all around you. She's in an arena or something like that.
I don't think she was. I think she had a stage, and she could have turned her back to the audience.
Maybe.
Fixed her damn eye.
It's so weird,
are you seeing this?
Yeah, it's so weird, dude. It sure enough, it just slowly shuts, and then she taps it, and it reopens, and then it shuts again. It's super weird to watch.
And of course, the conspiracy theorists out there are, of course, going to Bell's palsy right off the bat. Pfizer eye. I think what's with the Tut brothers are. What are the two brothers?
I've never heard of this. Bell's palsy, Pfizer eye. I don't know.
This is two different things.
This is a known symptom of the vaccine.
People have gotten Bell's palsy from the vaccine, haven't they?
Oh,
or
yeah,
allegedly,
definitely.
Right? You can never really
know. I think it's in the list.
So what is it?
Your face, half of your face goes paralyzed, like a stroke.
Okay.
But it's not actually a stroke. It's something completely different. You might think you're having a stroke.
It's like your nerves stop or something.
Something weird. And it can, like a co-host of ours, Johnson Rice, actually came down with Bell's palsy a few years ago. He got better, but it took some time. It took a long time for that to heal.
Sounds awful.
It's half of
I
his
don't know
face
what's going on here, but it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
And by the way, huge promoter of the vaccine, by the way. She even dressed up as a syringe one time.
Wow. Well, she's bought and sold by the government.
She's owned.
And the Illuminati.
Sure.
Probably.
You guys brought up conspiracy theories a minute ago. You got to remember, even crazy as Alex Jones is, he was right like 98% of the time.
I don't know about 98% of the time, but he was certainly right some of the time.
Yeah, control.
People remember his hits. People, it's like Nostradamus, right? You know, like sometimes he got something right, and they don't remember all the failures. Same thing with Alex Jones. He's made a lot of promises, and a lot of predictions over the years, but a lot of them don't come true.
His full-length documentary films were always among his best work. Like the Obama Deception and stuff like that.
I don't want to take any of that away from him. He's done amazing work. There's no doubt about it.
I'm just waiting for interdimensional clockwork elves to show themselves. To
you got to do more DMT.
To prove that Alex was.
Do more DMT, dude.
Let's prove that Alex was right all along.
Take the DMT, bro.
That's all it takes.
Apparently, I mean,
yeah, that's what I've heard. I didn't see the clockwork elves.
I've never gone that far.
But do I have to?
Go ahead, Major.
You're waiting for who to show themselves?
The interdimensional clockwork elves that he's always ranting, going on about, that actually are over in the corner controlling everything.
I've only heard him like a dozen times. One of my buddies is an ardent fan, so every now and then I'll get a couple, 3 hours of him. But I'm not familiar with that.
Well, supposedly they're here amongst us. We just can't see them unless we are imbibing and taking the correct substances.
Thank you, Major, for the call. Appreciate it. Alex Jones talked about the Clockwork Elves.
I think it was one of his. I think it was one of his Joe Rogan interviews.
But did he talk about it because he's heard about them, or because he himself has done DMT and has seen them? I feel like it was the former.
Good question.
He's way too high strung to have done DMT.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
He seems like the kind of guy who needs some shrooms and LSD and
less alcohol
in his life.
Yeah, he's a drinker.
Yeah, that's his problem.
Did you see the one of his staff, or somebody on his staff, released surveillance footage of Jones walking around his own building and sneaking drinks of alcohol while he was at work? Now, look, it's his job. You know, it's his company. He should be able to drink on the job if that's what he wants to do. But he's apparently being sneaky about it.
Well, that's how you know he feels like he's doing something wrong.
Yeah. And the person who released the footage added some sort of commentary like, "Don't spy on your employees, Alex." So apparently Alex was, using surveillance to watch his employees, and one of his employees turned it back around on him and caught footage of Jones going to a broom closet where he's pouring in, opening up some unseen alcohol and then just putting it in a cup and walking around the office with it.
I laugh, but that's really kind of sad in so many ways.
Being sneaky about it.
Well,
the sad part.
The funny thing is, our former host Vincent, who was he grew up on Alex Jones and then ended up becoming a critic of Jones later on. He told me he swore Jones was drinking on the job, just based on watching him perform, watching his show, and seeing the things that he was doing and saying.
I thought this was like a known fact.
Okay, well,
he just seems like he's a little
drunk.
He seems drunk all the time.
Well, like I said, Vincent called it, and apparently that was really true.
Well, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
Anyways,
now they're trying
Jones
to ruin his life. I mean, look, whatever you think about Jones, he doesn't deserve what's happening to him.
No, absolutely not.
Which is now a $965 million.
It's trillion. They want trillions now.
They're going for $2.5 trillion.
2.3 trillion, I think.
Yeah.
What is the point of this? The man doesn't have trillion. He doesn't have $1 billion.
No way. Yeah, no way.
If you listen to the defense attorney, he came right out and says, "We need to ruin this man's career."
Wow.
That's why they went after Chris Cantwell.
Paraphrasing. But he says, he's looking at the jury. He's like, "Look, this is what needs to happen. We need to make this man. We need to punish this man by ruining his career."
That's disgusting. That's exactly what they did to the white supremacists at Charlottesville, the alt-right or whoever the hell they were.
And now they want 2.3. It's this clown world amount of money.
Now they're trying to do it to Ye. Adidas just dropped Ye to
his bankers are dropping him.
George Floyd's family is trying to sue him evidently for like $250 million.
That is after he gave money to them.
Well, now
he gave money to the family. Now they're turning around.
Well, he's going around saying he died of heroin or whatever.
He probably did.
Well, he died because a cop knelt on his neck for 8 minutes.
Hey,
come on.
He had a lot of heroin in his body.
The number is 603-283-6160. You can join us here. This is Free Talk Live.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Have you had enough of the big-name web hosting services that are long on promises but short on bleeding-edge features, uptime, and customer service? Try Agorist Hosting, the agile web host that offers full concierge service from website redesign, full e-commerce solutions, custom apps for your Shopify store, IPFS integration, and more. Agorist Hosting is ready to take your web presence into the future. To get started, head over to agoristhosting.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join the show here. You can bring up whatever you want. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And, of course, there's already a quote-unquote fact check about the Katy Perry eye glitch video, trying to downplay the potential that this could have been caused by the COVID vaccine. So
of course.
The mainstream
of course.
media is already talking about this, trying to cover for this and pretend like, oh, no.
But ultimately, all they said is there's no evidence to suggest that it was from the COVID-19 vaccine.
Well, right,
I mean, that's a true statement.
Hey, brought to you by Pfizer.
That's the benefit of the vaccine, right? Is when things go wrong with your health after you take the vaccine, there's never any evidence that it was the vaccine that caused it. You could die of a heart attack as a 17-year-old football player on the football field, or a 37-year-old tennis star, or whatever, and then they just say, wow, what a shock, their heart just gave out. We don't know what happened.
Weird.
Or out in the garden, because now soil is a cause. Or, I don't know, video gaming is a cause now.
Yeah, so just because somebody had the vaccine and then dies doesn't mean the vaccine caused their death, but it sure is, because that's,
I know correlation does not equal causation, but
So-
at a certain point where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
Both of these idioms are true to an extent, but if you give this vaccine to 50,000 people and 50,000 people drop dead, no, you're right. That doesn't mean that the vaccine killed those 50,000 people. It means it's very likely that it did, but you can never know
for sure
with 100% certainty what killed those 50,000 people.
Right.
And that's the fallback that these vaccine manufacturers will always have to lean back on and say, look, we're not responsible for this. We can't prove that the vaccine killed them. What would it take to prove that the vaccine killed someone? Dropping dead at the injection site? Because that happened.
That happens too.
It literally happened. But yet they're still saying, well, we don't know it was the vaccine.
Remember real early on, that nurse who collapsed like 2 minutes after she got the shot? I never knew what happened to her afterwards.
Well, she didn't die of the vaccine.
She fainted.
Well, there's no proof that she fainted because of the vaccine,
right.
Conan.
Well, it was, I don't know, 2 minutes after the jab, and all of a sudden...
That's not evidence.
Right, it isn't.
So with the Katy Perry thing, some people are claiming it was just her false eyelashes that were getting hooked together.
Her eye drooped slowly shut. It wasn't like she was blinking her eyes and one of them got caught.
Right, yeah. The one eye closes, not both eyes were closing in that case. But
I wore mascara and fake eyelashes. That was not what's going on here.
And Bonnie, we asked her before the show, and she said, "No way, that's not what."
I don't think it was Bell's palsy either. And I don't know that it has anything to do with the vaccine or whatnot, but I know it wasn't eyelash glue either. I think the Katy Perry bot had a glitch, and she had to tap some sense back into her little noggin there. Because she was clueless. She was out of it, just staring at the crowd like that for almost 30 seconds.
Well, to be fair, if I was doing a performance of some type and my eye just closed by itself and I couldn't reopen it, I would be clueless too and wouldn't know what else to do except stand there and try not to freak out, which was only going to cause more panic.
I would have turned my back to the audience so they wouldn't see any of it. And we were talking during the break, unless this is an intentional stunt to get us talking about Katy Perry, because guess what we're doing?
Talking about Katy Perry. Well, she has not addressed it, but apparently in the past she did address an issue with her eye, this wonky eye. She says, I have a wonk eye as well, and I used to be worried about it. Then a bunch of my fans created a fandom over my wonk eye.
What is a wonk eye?
I even have a fandom that calls itself Katie's Wonk Eye.
It's a lazy eye.
She says, it's my right eye, so just celebrate all that stuff. Don't worry about it. So this was her right eye, Conan.
But I've seen pictures of her, and it looks like her wonk eye is her left eye. It's kind of droopy, and it doesn't open all the way unless her
she says it's her right eye. I'm going to take her at her word.
She says it's her right eye. And think about it. A lot of these young women, they take Instagram photos. You know how when you take a picture of yourself on your selfie, it reverses you. So
gotcha.
Anyway, let's go to the phones here. Let's talk to Renee on the line in Louisiana. Go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, I wanted to speak about the comment Kanye West said. I mean, I got four things to kind of ponder about that. How could he have said it differently without it being controversial?
I think he came back the next day and he said he misspoke, and he says he wishes the black community was more like the Jewish community, and that's what he meant. So he could have said that the first time around.
He also did clarify on a Piers Morgan interview that we watched some clips from off the air last night, where when he was finally given the chance to really clarify what he was saying, he did point out that he was referring to the specific power-seeking type of Jewish people, those that are in these positions of recorded executives and other elites.
You mean like the bank that dropped him?
The bankers, that sort of thing, yes.
But in that case, the fact that they're Jewish becomes irrelevant.
So his mistake was just going off against Jews.
Yeah, going after an entire people. He should have clarified. I'm talking about the corporate banksters and the
But of course he
Hollywood
had no chance
moguls.
to clarify because he was deleted from, well, not deleted, but restricted on Twitter.
How do you like
so
that?
He wasn't able to post any follow-ups, later on, 2 days later or whatever.
Well, if he hadn't drunkenly tweeted this at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, he could have posted a follow-up within a few minutes. But instead, he tweeted this and then went to bed.
But it has given us the view into just showing the level of oppression that is out there once again. I mean, we've seen this time and time again with Donald Trump being taken off of Twitter and Facebook, and now they're going after the most popular rap artist, in history, probably.
But on the one hand, at first, before he clarified himself, it sounds like the usual, not necessarily fascist, stereotypical comment. And on the other hand, what he did kind of sounds like marginally an apology. However, he could have used some, like, you know what? I think some, because I watch the History Channel and I see a lot of Jewish people dominate the movie stuff, so I know I'm kind of right. Some, not all. Because they're not the, how can I put it? Like my stepdad, he was a boat captain. The work at McDonald's variety, they're high profile, got well-paid jobs and pretty well educated, but that don't mean all of them. But how could he have put it? He did, but how could he have put it in the first place without stepping on any toes?
Well, I think we already answered that. I mean,
he could have targeted the bankers.
A more politically correct rant.
Yeah, he instead of going off at maybe he was drunk, as Arya suggested, at 3 a.m. and posting about Death Con 3 for the Jews, he could have been a little more specific. But then again, you only get 280 characters, so there's only so much that you can do with that. And he didn't walk it back right away. That was another mistake. Like, he could have woken up the next morning and said, oh, crap, what did I do? And then, no, this is what I meant. And then could have issued a statement and probably would have stopped a lot of this fallout. But, the point, I think that, I don't know if it was you, Arya, that was making it last night. This guy is so rich. This is how he has fun. This is what he does.
He's trolling.
Thank you for the call. So, what are his real beliefs? I don't know.
Another way to go after the elite is to not go after a whole people. Just go the Epstein route. Call them all pedophiles. All these most of them are powerful people who, what do they do with all that money, with all that power? He could go another route.
He could. There's more coming up. You can join us and share your thoughts here on Free Talk Live.
Did you or someone you love work, live, or serve at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988? If you or someone you know lived, served, or worked at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1988 and has cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, they are entitled to compensation. To see if they are eligible, they need to call Liberty Legal. Contaminants in the drinking water have led to these serious diseases, and legislation is now available for veterans and family members who may qualify for financial help from the government. There may be a time deadline, so don't wait. Call 888-918-1037. Anyone that has lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1988 and has had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or another serious health issue, the money is already set aside. 888-918-1037. 888-918-1037.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. Russia's representative at the United Nations says the country has shared proof that Ukraine is developing dirty bombs. Kyiv strongly rejects the accusation and says Moscow is planning to use such a weapon and blame Ukraine. FSN's William Denzelo reports from UN headquarters in New York.
Russia's UN Deputy Ambassador says Ukraine is developing dirty bombs to drag NATO into a direct clash with Russia. Dmitry Polansky says bombs containing nuclear material are being developed at 2 Ukrainian facilities, and claims Russia has shared its intelligence with UN Secretary-General. Ukraine rejects the allegations, and the UK's Deputy UN Ambassador James Kariuki says London has seen or heard no evidence to back up Russia's claims. The UN nuclear watchdog is set to visit 2 sites in Ukraine to investigate.
Meanwhile, the White House has condemned the decision by a Russian court to reject U.S. basketball star Brittany Griner's appeal against her 9-year prison sentence for drug charges, calling the legal proceedings a sham. The double Olympic winner was convicted in August of smuggling and possessing cannabis oil. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The 32-year-old apologised for her, quote, honest mistake in her appeal hearing via video link, saying it had been very, very stressful and very traumatic. In a statement, US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Ms. Griner was being wrongfully detained under intolerable circumstances and said that President Biden had called for her immediate release. He said the Biden-Harris administration has continued to make every effort to bring her home, as well as to support and advocate for other Americans detained in Russia, including fellow wrongful detainee Paul Whelan.
And it's a strong start to the week on Wall Street as U.S. stocks rallied for a second straight day. Some of the market's biggest players are reporting earnings this week. FSN's New York correspondent Gabriel Fahmy has more.
The S&P 500 climbed 1.6% and the Dow Jones rose 1.1%. But it was tech-heavy Nasdaq leading the way, jumping by more than 2.2%. Among the movers, Twitter up almost 3% on reports Elon Musk is finally going to close the deal by Friday. Ironically, the news pushed the social media company's shares to their highest level this year, close to the price Musk had offered up in his original bid back in April. Tesla, for its part, is up more than 5%. So far, most companies have beat expectations this quarter, but that could change as Wall Street is gearing up for big tech to report earnings throughout the week. Already, shares of Google plummeted more than 5% after close on Tuesday, after missing expectations as YouTube ad revenue came up short.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join the show here. The number is 603-283-6160, and you can join us online. Let's go to freetalklive.com and enjoy the features there. With you in the studio, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Conan.
You can join us over at freetalklive.com for various features, including our feeds. We've got our podcast feed available to you. You can plug it into any old podcast client that you want to. You can also subscribe to us on the various different platforms that are out there, like iHeartMedia, Spotify, those things. We link to all of those over at feeds.freetalklive.com. As we go to more of your calls and thoughts, Sarah is on the line in New Mexico. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Here.
Sarah, I'm so happy you got a new phone recently.
She got a new phone?
Didn't she? I mean, the quality is so much better than it was like a month ago.
If she can just talk straight.
No, I just get off the speaker. It's the same dumb phone.
Oh, the speaker phone makes a
stop
huge
doing
difference.
the speaker thing then. You need to talk to us on the phone because it's clearer. We can understand you.
I have to put on. Well, I got off the speaker now, but I made I have a hypothesis that ginseng will help with diabetes.
How so?
So it's one of the ingredients in one of the shakes that help the diabetes. So it's just one of the.
You mean one of the shakes you sell in your network marketing company?
Yeah, but I'm not supposed to talk about that.
That's because you probably can't make the claim legally that the shake helps with diabetes.
So tell me
unless it's insulin, unless the shake is made out of insulin and you're injecting it into your veins, it's probably not a legal thing to do. So that's why you have to be real dodgy here, Sarah, because the FDA will likely come after you and your company if you make health claims about products
But she's not a health professional. Can she even say that insulin is the right way to go?
That's my question, Sarah. This is a hypothesis, right? So you've got some scientific basis for this. What is the scientific evidence that you have that suggests to you that ginseng helps with diabetes?
Okay, this is my clue, is that ginseng, we all know that it gives you energy. Ginseng has been known for thousands of years with energy boost and endurance. So therefore, your craving to eat more carbs or more sugar for energy gets diminished. So then it helps your blood sugar level. Instead of wanting to go out and eat a muffin or a bowl of pasta or sugar, when you have this craving, when you already get these energies from ginseng, it keeps you away from the carbohydrates that will give you high sugar levels.
Well, I agree with all that.
Well, yeah,
but that's very different from saying that ginseng is going to help people's blood sugar levels.
Well, but that's it. But that's exactly my whole point. Is that when you derive energy from vitamin B, from other sources that give you energy, you have less craving to go out and put, increase your blood sugar levels, and that is dangerous for a diabetic. You don't want to have a high sugar in your blood.
Let me explain Americans to you, though, Sarah. It's not because they want energy that Americans are consuming massive amounts of sugar. It's because they're fat and lazy and stupid.
Yeah.
Cattle. You know what else likes to eat? Just grain. Cattle.
Yeah, I don't think a fat
sit
person
around
drinking a soda is going to make them energetic, right? Like, that's not the reason they're... Yeah.
Well, that's why I always recommend the multivitamins. You have a good source of multivitamins that you believe in, that works for you.
If you believe in it, that's the key word, Sarah.
Placebo.
You just gave us the key evidence that you believe in the multivitamin. Because if you believe in the ginseng, if you believe in the multivitamin, if you believe in the homeopathy, if you believe in the fill in the blank, whatever it is we're talking about, treatment, then it will likely work for you.
Sarah, was your...
But I mean, that's true.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. Belief is very powerful.
Was it her mother or her grandmother who escaped from communism?
Grandmother.
Was she all into the homeopathic herbs and whatnot and living off of the earth? Your old grandma?
Like the old generation people, all of us lived off the earth. Even in New Mexico, everybody was a farmer. Everything that they grew and ate was organic. Even the people that lived in this state like 100 years ago, 120 years ago. So yes, they were a lot more healthier, and now we've gotten back to the organic.
Hold on, Sarah, because I think I have a really good point that I think I can help you understand some things. Then people weren't consuming massive amounts of ginseng back then, right?
Or maybe they were. That's where I'm trying to get to. Where did this idea come from?
Probably they weren't growing ginseng in New Mexico.
Probably her Asian mother was probably...
I mean, they weren't growing ginseng in New Mexico 100 years ago. However, they also were not overrun with diabetes 100 years ago.
Good point.
Hold on. Ginseng was known throughout for 5,000 years in Asia as knowing to give energy, endurance, and sexual increase, and all of this health benefits for thousands of years.
You know, New Mexico is not in Asia, right?
No, what I'm saying is that, but somebody figured out if they supplement their diet with ginseng, it does help you, the craving to go out and eat 5 bowls of rice.
And if you call Sarah up, she'll get you on her auto ship program. Thanks for the call tonight. The number is 603-283-6160. You just have to order $100 of ginseng every month.
She's right there on the border. I'd be going after the cocoa leaves. Not coke.
For cocaine?
Not coke. No, just chewing on the leaves. That's the way you do it. To get that good energy burst.
I can see why a person who's smart enough to understand that, sugar gives people energy, ginseng gives people energy, could come to believe what Sarah believes. I could see why she'd be able to sell this idea to stupid people. But Sarah, the idea is not correct.
I
guess Sarah, if you had just a whole bucket of ginseng roots, you could probably survive a good long time. I don't know.
And you're probably not going to become a diabetic just sitting around eating roots all the time.
I'm just wondering if it's kind of like ginger, where you just can't eat a whole ginger root. You're going to poison yourself. You're going to have a bad time.
I would love to see what Sarah's sales volume is like on her network marketing company.
Well, it can't be very good because that would require work.
Right.
And she doesn't know how to do that.
No.
I'm surprised she does anything. I'm always really surprised when I find out that she's selling vitamins and stuff.
It's not her account. It's
her
roommate.
boyfriend's.
Boyfriend, roommate, whatever. It's his quote unquote business.
She's one of those,
She's helping.
She's a power mom or whatever they call themselves. They start their own companies.
Power mom?
What do they call themselves?
Oh, you want to sell the makeup and stuff?
No, not even those. We you don't have these Facebook friends presumably, but I do. I get messages from people that I haven't talked to in like 20 years. Like, hey,
pyramid schemes.
Well, they are pyramid schemes, but they don't acknowledge that. They're like,
power mom is a term. Though?
I don't know. That's not the term. It's something along those lines, and I don't remember it.
Their side hustle, that kind of thing.
It's not even that. It's like, hey, look, boss lady, something like that.
Girl boss.
Maybe that's it. But they're like, hey, I started my own company, and I want to sell you my stuff. And you look, it's a pyramid scheme or whatever. It's less common today than it was like 3 or 4 years ago. But I mean, that's all Sarah's doing here.
I don't think it's less common. You're just probably not
better
in the right
at blocking
circles.
these people. Yeah. Good point.
In other news, NBC poll finds that there's polarization ahead of the election. 80% of Democrats and Republicans believe the political opposition poses a threat that, if not stopped, will destroy America as we know it.
Good. Bring it on.
Yeah, it can't happen soon enough.
I've been spending my entire life trying to destroy America as we know it.
2/3 of reliable Democrat and Republican voters, I presume reliable means that they reliably vote Democratic or Republican, meaning they stick with their party, say they would still support their party's political candidate, even if that person had a moral failing that wasn't consistent with their own values.
Well,
that's the issue.
We've seen that. We've seen it with Trump, and now we've seen it with Biden.
When I say I want to see the destruction of America, I mean in a moral way, with non-violence, right?
Sure.
These people don't care about any of that.
No, they're more than happy to use violence against the other party because, understandably, they feel like the other party people are going to use violence against them, and they are.
Yeah, it's called projection.
It's the reality of the state. I mean, the state is violence, and those who control the state get to enforce their way on others. And if you lose, you get the other people's way enforced on you. So you can't blame people for wanting to win this thing.
Yeah, meanwhile, the rest of us, we're just over here like, leave us the hell alone.
Yeah,
just go get your own island and fight it over there.
I wish they would. Unfortunately, there's a lot of these people. There's more coming up here. You can share your thoughts and bring up whatever you want in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160.
Free Talk Live.
First of all, the relationship with police is involuntary. I did not contract with them, so it's an involuntary relationship, and they steal my money to pay for their salaries against my will. So anyone who says they're protecting my freedom by doing that job is ignorant or they're lying. And that's how I feel about it. I feel that they're glorified revenue agents. If they're sitting beside the road hiding, waiting for someone to do something Master told them not to do, they pounce out of behind the tree, and they go running 70 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone to catch that person who was doing 42 because they were driving unsafe. What does that make them? That just really irritates me. And they're when they show up to a scene or they pull you over on the side of the road, they're looking for someone to charge with something so they can make more revenue for the state. They're glorified revenue agents.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Phones are open in the remaining moments here. Enough time for you if you want to join the show. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We're talking about people in the United States that are as divided as ever, more so perhaps than ever. And that division continues to deepen as the midterm elections are coming closer. The majority of registered voters in an NBC News poll say this election is quote-unquote more important to them than past midterm elections. Now, of course, this is always true. Everybody always says, this is the most important election of our lifetime.
They say it every freaking time, man, and they're already gearing up to say it now.
Of course they are.
It's obnoxious. It's like, no, it's completely unimportant. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we can see pretty clearly that it really won't matter whether the Democrats or the Republicans take office because they're both going to make the government bigger. The Republicans are still of the mindset that if they only elect their guys, that things are going to turn around in D.C. and the government's going to get less bad and so on and so forth. And it's just like, hello, Republicans, don't you remember what happened when you were in charge? Your guys were in charge during both the Bush and the Trump administrations. What happened?
More war.
More? Well, under Trump, not so much. But more government.
He bombed some people too.
Government didn't get smaller.
Syria, I think, was his big thing.
They didn't collect less tax. The government didn't get smaller.
No, but he did actually put on the Supreme Court conservative judges. I mean, from a Republican standpoint, Donald Trump should be considered the most successful president they've ever had. He actually appointed conservative Supreme Court justices versus George W. Bush, who didn't.
Maybe. But you know who wins in all of this? This article well, that too, but I mean big media. Because when they come out with these stories that your opposition is, going to destroy you, or look at these poll numbers. Look, they're winning or we're losing or whatever.
That's what promotes the divide that we're seeing. The 80% of people who think things are doomed.
We can fix this for you. Give us more money for ads, for advertisements. Big media wins. Because if it bleeds, it leads. And if it's a war, if it's a political season.
Politics are big money for big media.
Absolutely.
There's a ton of money.
Absolutely. So this could be all bunk. Do you see this when you go to the store? Are there people fighting each other in the parking lot?
Well, no, they're armed in New Hampshire. It'd be crazy to start a fight.
Or do you? But do we see?
That's just not how people are in person, right?
That's right. Yeah.
The most of the people I work with are not libertarians. They're not Republicans. Most of them are Democrats, and I get along with them just fine. It's not the world that they're weaving about all of this hatred and stuff like that. It's almost like a parallel reality similar to social media, except it does impact the real world.
Exactly, and maybe that's what this is all about. It's just the social internet presence where people are saying things that they would never say in real life, but now that this is such a big part of our lives now, this internet presence, the metaverse, that people are saying things that they would never say before. So it's always been like this. Maybe. I don't know. I just don't see it. I do. You know that I'm the cycles guy, and the pendulum is swinging back and forth, and I think that we are all the way one right now, and something has to. I hate using. I don't want to build back better, but I think that is that needs to happen, and it will happen because that's the way the pendulum swings.
What do you mean? What's going to happen?
Right now, we as a country, as people, as human beings, as a biological presence, are so freaking divided right now. Left and the right are on their own sides. They're two different tribes.
I thought you were saying that was an illusion.
No,
I was the one who said it's an illusion.
It's an absolute fact.
Okay, so you agree that people are being more divided than ever.
Yes.
Okay.
Two different blood types. And what we need is balance. We need left and right need to be making babies together again. Seriously, mixing the blood. Right now,
when does that ever work?
Totally polar opposite. And that it's not good for the tribe. You got conservatives who think one way. They're important to the tribe. You've got progressives left who are very important to the tribe. They're on the other side. We're not working together. We're working against one another. You got to have
some of these people we can't work with, though. I mean, some of these people will look at me and say I'm transphobic. You can't work with those kind of people.
Maybe they need to die. Maybe the tribe needs to leave them on top of the mountain and let them fend for themselves, while the rest of us make babies together and grow crops and build structures together like some good tribesmen.
Maybe the tribe has failed.
It has. That's exactly.
Well, let's not try to make it work, Conan. It's not gonna work. Just call it a day. Let the conservatives go do their thing. Let the Democrats go do their thing. It's time to end the relationship.
I would, if it could work, I would love to go that route. Except it's not gonna happen. And
it's gotta happen.
It cannot happen. There's not enough of us. There are not enough individualists out there who want to be left alone, and we're not powerful enough. Our numbers are not great enough to take on the authoritarians.
This is why I'm saying, man, none of this is going to happen until we're out there colonizing planets, and we can carve out this space in the universe that's just too distant for them to reach in order to govern us.
We'll go to another planet, and they will follow
military
us,
ship.
just like this country.
And they tried that with the United States and Great Britain, and it didn't work out well. So for the imperialists, and it won't work out well for them because the logistics of transporting troops and materials across these vast distances, it just won't work out for them.
We had a couple good centuries, kinda, but the empire, the 250-year-old empire is broke. It's broken.
The U.S. had a good few centuries, but I've never had an individualist libertarian country. Or that would be an oxymoron, but a libertarian individualist society in which I could exist without having to worry about my neighbors inflicting violence upon me. I have never had the opportunity to try that. It would
be nice. It would be nice to have a little like a new Arcadia, where we can just go do our own thing and live peacefully, and then look what happened to them.
But here on Earth, every square inch of the planet is claimed by one state or another, unless it's that little swamp island out in
Liberland.
Yeah, which nobody wants anyway. And even if you try to get there, you're going to find out that actually some states do claim that, and they're going to shoot you if you try to build on it.
There's a lot of open ocean out there.
Yeah, so try seasteading. It's not for me, but it works for people.
What was BioShock's Randland? What was it?
I don't know.
I played one of them, but I don't remember.
But seasteading is a thing.
But even that didn't last. I mean, the people, the authoritarians followed, and they got in there and they screwed everything up.
That's because it's easy to get from one part of Earth to the other. All it takes is a plane, and the governments around the world have plenty of those.
According to the story here at NBC News, beyond the horse race numbers, I skipped the Biden approval numbers, and the high interest in the election, what stands out is the bipartisan anger among Democrat and Republican voters when they are asked what one message they'd like to send with their votes. A male Republican respondent from Missouri said, "Tell Biden to resign." A female Republican from New York said, "Save this country." A male Democrat from Massachusetts said, "Democracy is in jeopardy." And a female Democrat from California said, "Don't mess with reproductive rights."
So the common theme here is that they all want to save the country.
They all want to be in control.
They want to, yeah, exactly.
That's really what they want.
They're not saying that. Correct. That's not what they're saying, but that's what they think. That's what they mean.
And because of that, they think the other side being in control will destroy the country. Because, I mean, in a sense, they're right. The Republicans being in control will destroy what the Democrats want the country to be, and vice versa. Because they're too busy oppressing each other and seeking vengeance upon one another when they're the ones in power to actually come to an agreement or an understanding of, hey, maybe we could just live and let live. I won't have to force you to allow abortions. You won't be able to force me to not have abortions, and we can just peacefully coexist.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? These people are too different from one another.
That's what I'm saying. It's the pendulum is too far to one direction right now, and the two tribes have split. We need to bring them back together.
No, we don't, Conan.
We have to split the blood type.
All the way.
We need to bring the bloods back together.
I think I'm with Ian on this one. Splitting it all the way is the way to go.
They've got to break up. The relationship is sour. It's not going to get better. You can't go to the marriage counselor and fix this thing.
We can't progress. I'm not talking about the state and the people. I'm talking about the left and the right.
That's what I'm talking about. You cannot bring these people back together. They're too fundamentally different in their mindset.
I know. We can't evolve any further. We can't move to the next level like this.
I think we can. You break up, man. When a group gets too large, you always have this happen. It happens in the libertarians where you get more than 30 people. People start having arguments. People start disagreeing, and you know what? It's okay for people to go their separate ways and compete. There's something to be said for cooperation, and I agree. If you can cooperate, it can be helpful. But if you can't get along with somebody, stop trying to cooperate with them and do it better.
Well, I mean, if the government actually treated states as sovereign, we could do that. You know, you go to your state, I'll go to my state, and we can. But that's
what we need.
That's part of the problem right there. Where basically it's the urbans versus these city states.
Well, and
that's a problem.
One of the problems is these people want to control the state. They don't want to give up. They don't want to secede. They don't want to have independence. They want to have total control over their opposition. It's a dominance game, and these people, 90% of them, buy into it.
Yeah, they're all psychopaths.
Yeah, so the only solution is for libertarians to move here to New Hampshire, and then we'll figure something out like independence. We'll see you tomorrow.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.